welcome to Doors and Corners, a sci-fi and fantasy film commentary podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Zach. And every Friday we sit down and watch a science fiction or fantasy film and give our 2 cents on its quality, production, story, and trivia.
We watch the film together, but without sounds or visuals provided to avoid copyright issues. But if you do have access, we encourage you to join us and follow along.
Here, we like to keep things casual, and there may be discussions of spoilers or sensitive materials or language. But we do try and keep things clean and family-friendly. Ultimately, the goal of this podcast is to create the experience of us all sitting down and watching this movie together.
So get ready to hit that play button, because we're about to get started.
Damn doors and corners, I mean, that's where they get you.
Welcome back to Doors and Corners. I'm Brian.
Corners. I'm Zach.
And tonight, we are revisiting a franchise that had one phenomenal film, one film that was a sequel. And we are back with a movie that, as much as I have a fondness for, not a good movie. What are we watching tonight, Zach?
We're watching the story of Gus Gorman, who is a computer programmer from the 70s.
Like by accident,
Pryor.
right?
Yeah, by accident, who actually misspells computer code and still works somehow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Okay, we're watching Superman 3.
The Richard Pryor Show.
The Richard Pryor Show from 1983. This is the movie that knocked Return of the Jedi out of the top spot that it had been in for, I want to say months, maybe like 3 weeks or something like that.
Pretty sure Return of the Jedi's legacy is safe from this film, though.
Just a little bit, yeah, just a little bit. Whereas this movie, for context to my joke, is co-led by very famous at the time comedian Richard Pryor, who admitted that he loved Superman while on the Tonight Show. So the producers went, "We need to get Richard Pryor in our movie." It'd be like getting, I don't know, I want to say Jack Black today, but I feel like he has a little bit more clout than Jack Black. But it's just...
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like getting Dave Chappelle in your film, I feel like, is the modern equivalent.
Well, Dave Chappelle's not like a cultural phenomenon type thing. Richard Pryor was big.
He was, but like out of all the stand-up comedians, I'm trying to think of who else. I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm thinking of somebody who's just, like, Richard Pryor was famous for being incredibly inappropriate, but people didn't care because he was so funny. There you go. Oh, I that's such a nightmare to think of. She hasn't been relevant at all. Anyways, it's either way. It's and I actually, full disclosure, I like a lot of Richard. I like. We've never talked about this. I actually really enjoy stand-up comedy. I find really good stand-up comedy to be a wonderful diversion for my brain and something that just makes me. It's good escapism for me. Like, I really enjoy it. And Richard Pryor's stand-up was genuinely good. Like, he was a very talented comedian. So no flack on him.
His stuff about like how his dad died. Oh my gosh, it's some of the funniest stand-up comedy I've ever heard.
But it's just, again, when you make your film based around that kind of a thing, it's not how you approach filmmaking. It's just not. And you're going to hear this from me multiple times. There's so many villains in this movie behind the camera. The producing partners, the brothers, Salkinds. And is it Richard Lester or Lister?
I heard it as Leicester.
Leicester. Well, I hate him because, and we talked about this back when we recorded 1 and 2. All so much drama. Like the behind the scenes of these movies could be its own soap opera. And Richard Donner and his, creative differences, and then, it's been, confirmed but denied by, at this point, God rest his soul, Gene Hackman and Margaret Kidder, and just the tensions about, how much they hated how Richard Donner was treated and his tensions over creative differences. And Richard Donner is not a perfect filmmaker, but he, had a vision for the character. Whereas this is like a 1983 version for me of like the modern problem of just content. Like, you have an IP that you think, this is going to make me money, so I need to keep doing stuff with it because it'll make me money. And I don't care about it in any greater sense than that. With the great exception of Christopher Reeve, who's still, he's like we talked about, sorry, I'm like jumping into this so fast, but Henry Cavill is such a perfect example of lost opportunity, of just such a phenomenal casting decision in movies that just were not there. Christopher Reeve is honestly even a more tragic figure, because you got a taste of what it could have been in one,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had declining it. Two, I saw a random list literally right before we jumped on this. I was jumping on it, and I swear, the algorithm watches what we do, right, Zach? So I jumped on,
Yep,
and
it
the
does.
suggested article page on my browser was like, oh, the Superman live action films were rated by some, and I should have known better because it was a Screen Rant thing. Shouldn't have clicked on it, because man, what a hit or miss website. But they had Man of Steel first, Superman 2 second, and Superman the movie as third. They had Superman the movie below Superman 2. I'm like, what are you smoking, dude? But it's
Right? I think it has to do with like excitement content.
maybe there's definitely more action in 2. But regardless of any of that, it's so sad because I adore Christopher Reeves. And I know that is like the least hot take of all time for Superman, because everybody loves Christopher Reeves. But it is true. He loved the character. He embodied the character. We were talking about before we started recording here. I actually, as much as I love Superman, I'm a huge Superman fan. I'm much more just a Christopher Reeve fan. I've realized that the more time's gone on. I like Superman very much, but my connection to the character, my love of the character, the influence the character had on my life is 99% because of Christopher Reeve, not because of a comic or because of anything else. The man influenced me as a kid. I mean, he's second only to Captain Kirk, as portrayed by William Shatner. It's very special to me. And the more I revisit these films as an adult, the more it's just sad, because you had a guy like that, and you had filmmakers at the time who could have done amazing things. And instead we got this. And I'll stop for a minute and let you talk.
I mean, I totally get where you're coming from on that. I had less of an experience than that. I didn't grow up with Christopher Reeve Superman. My mom says I did, but I
baby.
don't remember it. So I don't remember it.
That's all right.
I don't know what else to say on that. And it's just, Superman for me has always just been kind of a weird favorite, because for a minute I didn't really care about him at all. I had kind of that same kind of, what a bland character. He's just too powerful, X, Y, and Z. He's not that interesting. And then I don't even remember the exact time that it like clicked. But right around 2015, I don't know if it was watching Smallville or something, but I know that I was in like a big cartoon kick around that time, and I was just trying to, somebody just told me, no, Superman can be really interesting. You just have to give him the chance. And I did that. And I really got into the character, and I just kind of fell in love with it, and I really enjoyed watching the Christopher Reeve Superman. But it's not quite the effect that it had on you. Supposedly, I saw this movie several times when I rented it as a kid, and I kept putting it on, much to the derision of my mother. But I don't remember that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I fully understand people who, who are younger, and I don't mean it in any bad way. I get how if you didn't grow up with it, it's a rougher series. And the first movie, as special as it is, and as much as I think if you're a student of film, you understand the time period it was made and where superheroes were treated, what superheroes were treated like in film at that time, what important film it was, and all that. But it is an objectively good movie, but it also definitely has a lot of, you had to be there. And the movie Superman came out years before I was born. I was born in 82. So, I mean, I was 1 year old when this film came out.
Old man.
So I discovered all these on, VHS tapes later. And it definitely helped. My mom loved these films. But this one specifically, so my best friend growing up, this was his favorite. And he was the friend, I was telling Zach this before we started recording, he was the friend who I'm not going to say his name. If he ever listens to this, I'll know who he is, but I want to keep him totally anonymous. But he was the friend who his parents had money. And so he had the Nintendo console, and he had all the good Lego sets, and he had cable. So growing up, he had ABC, and would tape Lois and Clark, and we would watch episodes of that when I go hang out at his house after church on Sundays. And we'd play Rebel Assault on his good computer, and we would play with Legos, and we would watch, the stuff that he was able to get off TV because, he had that stuff. And we actually were good friends, not just because of stuff, but you know how it is when you're kids. Anyways, he was a big Superman fan also, but this was his favorite movie. We watched this one more than any other ones. He always found the first film a little too boring. And this film, he liked... This film has a lot more Superman stuff in it. And it has the slapstick stuff in it. It's funny. Richard Pryor is doing his different characters. He's doing his General Patton. He's doing his Superman impression. He's doing his cowboy. He's having a good. He's being Richard Pryor. And so my friend always liked this one a lot. So I have a lot of memories of seeing this one a lot. And as a kid, I thought it was fine. I just my 8-year-old brain didn't understand why this movie wasn't that good. It wasn't until later that I understood. I always knew that I didn't like it as much as the first two, but I never could understand why. One of the reasons I enjoy doing this, and as I got older, and I like understanding why I like things and don't like things. I like being able to express that. I think that it's an important part of. I remember telling my kids, because they'd be like, "Why does it matter?" We'd be like, "No, because it's interesting. You should be interested as to why you enjoy something. You should be looking at it as an insight into learning more about yourself. That's something worth putting some energy into. And understanding why you like or don't like even something as simple as a movie is an interesting little window into understanding yourself better." And so that's a tiny tangent, but just one of the reasons I love doing this. And doing it out loud is fun because I listen to myself and I think out loud. So this film, though, it took me a long time to realize why I didn't like it. And part of it was Superman should be funny. Superman should have some lighthearted nature to it. One of my biggest problem with Man of Steel was that it was too serious. It was too dour. Superman should be a hopeful character. But this movie took it too far. But then when it did the whole, artificial kryptonite and he goes evil, this movie is such a weird mixture of like dark comedy and like the exploring a dark side of, or at least trying to explore a dark side of Superman. But at the same time being so slapsticky and goofy, and the villain is just a total parody of a Bond villain and Lex Luthor all wrapped up. And just, it's a mess. It's a thematic mess.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
Man,
and we're going to be talking a lot about that type of stuff, so we should probably just get into it.
Yeah, I could just sit here
and... Oh yeah, because I was just about to open my mouth and start rambling, and I was like, wait, no, we actually need to do this thing.
We do. We got a 2-hour film tonight. But why don't you hit us with the sweet deets, and then we'll hit play.
Oh my gosh, and it went so far on that thing. Okay, so I'm going to need just a second, Brian, actually. I'm sorry.
I had to mute to cough there for a second, so... You let me down, man. Excuse me, listeners. So, this, and 83, I'm trying to think. It was crazy to think about this coming out the same year as Return of the Jedi, because the flying in this movie actually is a genuine step up, but there's so many jarring points in this movie where the green screen is so obvious, and the effects work. It's just like you can tell the props, are metal. I'm using air quotes. They're supposed to be metal and they're just plastic. And the way the machinery works, there's just not that sense of like strength. And the transition with a few things. Anyways, and like no shade thrown. There, people who were doing their best with what they had at the time. But man, when you compare this effects wise to Return of the Jedi as the other standard, it's rough. But go ahead with those.
I have fixed my technical difficulties, so we can.
Why don't you hit us?
Edit around that. Okay. Sweet details for Superman 3, which came out in 1983. Rated PG, and it is 2 hours and 5 minutes long. Probably could have been about 15 minutes shorter and not really lost anything.
Easily.
Top cast: Christopher Reeve, Richard Pryor, Margot Kidder. Why is she so high on this list? I don't know. She's in it for less than 3 minutes.
It's just for the poster.
Annette O'Toole,
To trick people.
Robert Vaughn, and Annette O'Toole. Wait, I said Annette O'Toole twice.
You did.
Good job, Zach. Pamela Stevenson is the other one. I'm sorry. I'm reading off a list. I'm dyslexic. I'm not actually dyslexic. Written by David Newman, directed by Richard Lester. But that says Lester. Lester. Why is everybody saying Leicester?
Well, that's what, when you said that, I'm like, I've always read it as Lester. It seems pretty obvious that it's Lester, but all right, I don't know.
They were saying Leicester.
Yeah.
Those shysters.
I mean, in the behind the scenes featurette that I watched from like 84, whatever they made it for the home video release, the guy narrating the behind the scenes thing called him Richard Lester. So I don't know.
I'm gonna stick with that then. I watched a few where they were saying Leicester, but I'm gonna go with Lester because it's spelled Lester, and I don't have enough respect for the man to go for the correct pronunciations. Phonetics for the win.
But this we'll talk about the behind the scenes as we go for sure. So let's get here to hit that play. But there is technically extra stuff on this from the original theatrical release. I believe we're watching the Max version, and this is the same version that's been on like DVD. So I think this technically does have a little bit of extra in it. Did you know the answer to that for sure or not?
From my research, this should be the original theatrical cut, because the other cuts will have the altered opening credits.
Where it's over space.
Where it's over space. This has the original credits. That's the really weird series of like Rube Goldberg events.
Yeah.
Strap in, everybody. It's going to be a good one.
And he doesn't even catch the thief. He gets away. The robber gets away.
Right?
Like,
how does the thief get away in Metropolis?
It makes Superman look incompetent. Anyway, let's jump right into this treasure of an opening. So we are going to hit that play button in 3, 2, 1. Oh. And the old school Warner Brothers logo.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we open right up here into... It's like a cold open. Richard Pryor here.
Yeah, it's like a fade in, yeah.
But it's interesting, they jump right into, like, before we get any credits. Like, it makes it up right away that Richard Pryor is the co-star of this movie. And again, no shade to Richard Pryor. But we open with him, which to me just says a lot about this being more about making money than it is about making a good Superman film. Yeah. This lady, though, that's doing the unemployment stuff.
Right? The hair, man.
I have, I don't know this actress. I don't mean anything by this, but gosh, did they cast a couldn't give two shits government employee better. It's just...
Right?
She portrays that, DMV employee from the 80s so well. Just like, here's your stuff. Will you leave me alone?
Right? Yeah, but it's just trying to establish the character. This guy was billed as being the villain of the movie. Like, that's how it was being advertised. And he's really not.
No, he's kind of a lovable idiot, is really how he comes across. And I would have a feeling that Pryor wouldn't want to be the villain, right? Like, he wants to... I actually don't know the answer to this. Behind the scenes, Pryor basically was like, I won't be the villain. Like, there's got to be... By the end of this movie, I've got to be on good terms with Superman.
Yeah, from what I understand, he did have a lot of input on like his character development.
Well, I feel like plenty of these scenes, they just let him be like, just do your thing. Yeah, I feel like that was done in a lot of scenes where he was just told like, do your routine. Like, here's a character, improv, whatever. Mm-hmm. I always love the indoor smoking. You can like smell these buildings. I'm not saying I love it.
Smell good.
I'm not saying I love it like I wanted to come back. Just in that I remember the inside of buildings smelling like smoke growing up. That was just, my parents didn't smoke, but you go to government buildings, you go to, public buildings, you walk into the restaurants and you're like, oh yeah.
Thankfully, I didn't have to deal with a lot of that myself. I was just old enough to where a lot of that was going out the window.
Yeah.
Young enough, I should say.
Okay, so
But
these credits. I mean,
these credits.
It's
weird.
And it's, again, the tone of this immediately of just these phone booths that aren't attached to anything.
Yeah. Like, where's the wires?
The mustard on his shirt. You got Batman villain here.
Penguins?
Yeah.
Like, what do you... Why are you stealing... Why are you selling animatronic penguins?
And of course, I mean, I really do feel like this is supposed to be like a little Batman, like wink and a nod or something, with the penguin catching on fire there and everything.
Yeah, a little bit, like 1966 Batman.
Yeah. And then
it's an awful seeing eye dog.
Oh, it's the worst. Yeah, because they would not be distracted that easily.
Yeah.
It's weird too how they keep underneath, as the credits go by, they kind of keep it blurred out below the text for like a second or two.
Yeah. Like, what is this even doing?
This is all shot up in Calgary, right? Up in Calgary, Canada.
Yeah.
And it's just, when I was watching the behind the scenes on this, they were saying that they were shooting all this, and the people who were, and like the weird, he doesn't know his own strengths, so he tears the newspaper. It's like, come on. It's because Christopher Reeve said in multiple interviews that I saw, he deliberately was trying to keep Clark from being not quite as slapsticky in this film. He didn't want Clark to be as bumbling. He's not walking to the doors and stuff. But you still have a little bit of that just, the whole newspaper thing to me is, and the second time there, we've walked into something and this guy and the whole, I don't get this. And then you get into a bank robbery. Yeah. This is
just showing that Metropolis is just happy wacky land of Rube Goldbergian chaos.
Well, and the fact that Superman is not hearing we've established he's here in the area and he doesn't hear the gunshots. He has no idea what, that's what I really don't get, is that nobody went and saw, nobody looked at this and be like, wait a minute. So the cops are chasing the robber. And Superman is going to be here, and he's not going to catch the robber who's running away on foot with a bag of money.
Yeah. And then this whole thing of just a guy drowning inside of his own car because his car hit that
fire hydrant.
Fire hydrant. What a strange circumstance. And he's just like, oh no, I have to go help now.
Yeah. This was kind of cute. The kid in the phone booth thing here.
Oh, yes, this is actually a moment I did really like.
Just the little, pulls the... Everybody, he gives the kid the last one. He's like, all right, you can have the picture of me. That's fine.
Right? Yeah.
Like, the guy's drowning, but he has time to look at all the photos and give the kid a little rub on the head. I mean, there's
I'm not sure if it's him, but I want to say that kid is actually the baby from the original one who played young Superman that they found in the pod.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, he's in here. He has a cameo. But it's just one of those things where I'm just like, okay, I remember that little boy. I think we saw his penis in the first one.
Nice. And what is the point of this? This has no bearing whatsoever. This guy, getting his... It's so he can get a bucket on his head and then continue to walk around. It's just...
Yeah.
It's so stupid. I don't...
Yeah, very bizarre.
As an adult...
Is it stuck on his head now? Did he get a head wound?
Maybe. This is the kind of thing where as a kid, again, as an 8-year-old kid, I thought that this was just fun and this was great. And oh, it's so goofy and, we're just having a good time. The mime who can't get up just keeps falling, it's just...
And there's the dog.
But as an adult, I'm watching this going what is happening right now?
The way that the whole thing is filmed like it all kind of goes back to the woman in the spotted dress and guys like watching a woman when they shouldn't be.
Well, that's something too. Talk about
Um,
objectification of like, because she literally is a walking pair of boobs in this movie. Sorry, I don't know how else to say it. And then the running joke is that she's actually like really smart. And she's like
Yeah.
reading Kent and like knows like, but it like wants to. It's just again, it's a weird character. So
yeah, it is a very strange choice. I think it's supposed to be kind of like a kind of renamed version of Miss Tesmacher.
yeah, but less interesting.
Hmm. Hmm.
But again, all
a
of
little
that. So Richard Lester, I believe other than these films, he's most famous for he directed a couple Beatles music videos, right?
Not music videos, movies. He directed
Movies.
stuff like Help and Hard Day's Night.
Okay. But
Um,
it feels like his directing style, that whole sequence was just that. Like it's just like more of a montage of stuff.
yeah, and it didn't really mean anything or
No.
have a reason to be done that way.
No, it really doesn't. So, all right. So,
So-
we get introduced to the villain, and we get to see Lois for her, her first cameo in this film, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing
A lot of
with
people
Jackie
think that
Cooper.
this was done.
Good.
A lot of people think that this was done because
That's just a close up.
she was so vocally critical about the studio's treatment of Richard Donner and wanting him back for this, and not wanting to come back without him.
Yeah. Well, her and
Kind
Gene
of
Hackman. That's
Natalie Portman in Thor 3.
yeah. Well, a lot of that's right because her and Gene Hackman. That's kind of the legend, right? They just hated what happened with Richard Donner and so many things, and they've kind of denied it in interviews, and so have other people. But then it's also come around as like, no, that actually was true, and yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
to know for sure. But it also isn't hard to imagine,
Mm-hmm.
considering there's so many people who do that. But yeah, both Perry White and Lois's characters barely have anything in this movie, and what they have is essentially just little comedy bits, and then you move on. They
Yeah.
have no actual plot relevance of any kind. Jimmy gets a
None.
tiny bit, like a legit thing to do during the warehouse fire, and that's it too.
Yeah, and
Other than that,
but
it's
then he
entirely
goes to hospital.
yeah. This whole like, I don't know. Again, they're trying to recreate again the kind of the classic, Perry White office scene, but it's done like it's like a parody of that type of scene from the first and second movies. The bingo thing. Okay, what do you think?
This
ahead.
feels like it's trying to be kind of almost like a sitcom thing with like the bingo and all that, and
Oh yeah,
their whole deal.
I could almost imagine this being written by like Jerry Seinfeld.
Well, a lot of people compare it to Office Space.
Mm,
Did you read any of that stuff?
I did not.
So, and I actually have a little bit of a personal attachment to this because I had this same exact idea. Okay, once upon a time, when I'm just like, wouldn't it be cool if you could just do this? It wouldn't really hurt anybody, but it'd be really beneficial for you. But it was used as a plot device in the movie Office Space, and it's also a plot device in here, which is that Richard Pryor's character's whole scheme that he gets discovered for is skimming bank transactions. Where, imagine if you had the ability to just take a couple cents or $1 off of every large bank transaction, enough that nobody would even notice that it's incorrect, right? And it just add it to your own account. And why is Lois just carrying around a bikini top?
Yeah, because that's the way you signify to everybody you're going to the islands.
Yeah. She's off to Bermuda, and that's the last we see of the character. Well, I mean, we see her again at the end, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Everybody's just like, gives Lois the big goodbye, and then he's like nothing. Bye, Clark.
now this movie. But anyway, the movie Office Space also involves that same exact transaction idea, and a lot of people are just like, did Office Space get the idea from Pryor's character here?
Maybe. Man, These computers
Oh,
take me
the
back, though.
computers.
What do you think about the theme of kind of technology run amok, or like technology being such a major part of the plot device in this film?
I could see it. I mean, it's at this point, technology was evolving almost like every 6 months.
Oh yeah,
We've entered into, and we still have that today, but at the same time, we've also entered a period of, I would actually describe it as forced stagnation. Um, we still have a lot of things that are changing and evolving, of course, but for about the past 10 years, with the exception of like stuff that was developed during COVID for remote work and all that stuff, we're actually kind of on a kind of even keel. Gaming hasn't actually evolved that
no,
much
a little bit faster, a
since like
little bit
2008,
prettier,
you
but
know.
nothing really has shifted. Like
Mhm.
your
And
phone has a better battery, bigger screen, a little bit brighter. Your game console's a little bit better and faster and brighter. Your
that's all
you
on
know,
purpose.
all that. Yeah, oh yeah, it's very consumer driven
Mm.
innovation. But yeah, but nothing has fundamentally changed. We've gotten more and more used to doing things on our phones.
Mhm.
But it's just, yeah, it's been very. There hasn't been a dramatic new thing in a while.
Yeah,
Just been
that'll be
small
interesting.
iterations. But at this point, it really was the idea of so many tasks like they get into with this. The idea that accounting being done on computers versus just guys with ledgers, handwritten everything. Was it was a
Mhm.
big thing. Although,
It
man,
still kind of is bookkeeping software, man.
his computer
Um,
skills, though, he's just typing nonsense most of the time.
Not only that, but a couple of these commands that he creates are misspelled.
Well, the idea that he kind of just stumbles into being a computer genius and then goes from that to like designing a supercomputer is just, it just, oh my gosh.
I mean, yes. This at the same time, I know a guy. Okay, I hate this guy. I love him to death, but I hate him at the same time. He has this way of just picking things up, and one of those was computer programming. He just instantly clicked with it and was able to do incredible things with it faster than anybody else.
Hmm.
And it's just like these people do exist. This isn't necessarily a good representation of it, but I do like the idea of an antagonist kind of character like Richard Pryor in here, having that whole thing where it's just he's just a normal guy who's down on his luck, and he's even like he's lazy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Um, but he's just he suddenly clicks with something. It's like, oh, he's actually really good at this. That's a very interesting idea to me for some reason.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a Superman villain who comes absolutely from nothing, has no ambitions to dominate the world. It's his own just kind of talent and personal greed that gets him into trouble.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely way more interesting than the main, billionaire villain who's, I literally watched this movie today and I already forgot his name.
Was it Webster?
Something.
Lester?
This sequence, this might be my favorite sequence in the movie.
Mm.
This whole thing, because there's two things about it. One, I think the effects work is actually pretty good here. They really, there's a lot of real fire and going, and
Yeah.
even though there's some clunky parts, special effects wise, I like Superman being creative to solve problems. Even if it is something as simple as when he pulls the chute out and, to get everybody down off the thing, and he thinks, oh, I can get the water here by freezing top of the lake and it's not just I can brute force it. There's some creative thinking involved with his solutions. And it's just, I also like to just kind of like this guy's like, oh, it's Superman, like no big deal. Like,
I forget that.
oh, I mean, the world has gotten used to him, which is interesting because that's something that is still hard to do. I think to have a world that's just used to the idea of Superman being part of it, and kind of emergency responders being like, "Oh, Superman's here, great, you can help." Like they're not even fazed by it; they're just excited to see him.
Like I do like this. You could theoretically make these arguments like, why doesn't he just use his breath, right?
Yeah.
To put it out, right?
I mean, you could say though they're like until he knows where everybody is, though that would be dangerous because he'd be pushing the fire and the heat away from him.
Yeah.
He wouldn't just be extinguishing it. So until he knew it was safe, he could potentially kill somebody doing that.
Part of the novelization of this, which was based on an early iteration of the script, and it was a little bit darker, a little bit meaner, because apparently this movie originally was described as meaner. Part of it was Superman having trouble with other people, with saving everybody all the time, and people being ungrateful, and he was kind of losing his faith in his job of being Superman. That was going to be a theme, and that's one of the reasons why it ties into Bad Superman later. That was kind of a personification of his hopelessness. But part of it, the writing of that was that scene of him helping those people, and he could overhear them at the bottom being like, how do you think we could spin this into a lawsuit so maybe we could sue Superman and get money out of it?
Really? Wow.
Yeah. But stuff like that was cut, and you can kind of see it in his face in this scene. Which again, Reeves' face is such a perfect Superman face.
Oh, it really is.
That scene stood out to me when I was rewatching this thing, and I'm just like, damn, that's Superman. You know.
Well,
I wanted to. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say he does have the perfect. I mean, his smile is so amazing, but also when he just has his serious, like almost a scowl, it's so intensely good, and he hits both of those sides really, really well.
Very much agree. I was just thinking about the fact that like one of the best parts of Superman movies tend to be the openings. When they're like the first time that they save people and do Superman things, you know? Like this is a good Superman sequence, right?
He's saving people, he's figuring out problems, he's, you know, there's spectacle. Yeah, like this is...
And good. Yeah, it's highly different, but you think of Man of Steel and him saving people on the oil rig is a really good scene.
Yeah, it is.
But you go to Superman Returns, okay? The plane sequence.
Yep.
Oh man, that is one of my favorite superhero sequences ever.
Oh yeah.
Part of that's the music, but you know.
Yeah. But that sequence, and before he goes out to Kryptonite Island, when he just flies through the city, and he's just dealing with, you know, a couple of problems there. That whole sequence also. But yeah, just Superman doing his thing.
When that goes back to what I've brought up in all three of the Superman movies that we've watched so far, is that I believe that Superman, when you have him, you almost need to take the major DC characters and assign them roles. You know, Batman's the detective. Yeah. Wonder Woman is a warrior. Aquaman is a king.
And quite literally here,
Green Lantern should be like a beat cop.
Yeah.
Superman is a firefighter.
That's
how they should treat him in his movies, is Superman's a firefighter. I think this is a great version of that.
Yeah. Well, and ultimately too, Superman is not like he's his most content, I guess is a good way to put it, is most purposeful. As thin she dies. When he is just helping regular people from this kind of stuff. You know, like I feel like he's portrayed as being his most fulfilled in these type of moments. Okay, this is the one where the effect sequence shows its age a little bit as the transition from the breaking of ice. Because this was candy glass being shot with frames and then it dissolve into steam elements.
Interesting.
Yeah. As again, part of that, I just was watching that and it's like, hey, it's cool. I mean, it's what they had, you know, but the transition is a little harsh where it just vanishes all of a sudden.
And it's hard not to be harsh on the movie because this came out like right after Return of the Jedi, which just has some of the best special effects. It actually has a couple moments of really bad special effects, even for its day. But for the most part, it has incredible special effects. And then this movie, it's just like, meh.
Yeah,
but it also had half the budget. So
yeah, I mean, this was for the time a $40 million, something around there, and that's not a huge budget, even by 1983 standards, for a big movie like this.
Yeah,
All right. I do appreciate him getting back to Smallville. Like you think there was something the idea of let's have a little bit of this back in Smallville, let's bring in Lana, let's introduce some other elements to his kind of personal life. I think was a smart move. I'm not saying I agree with like how they did all this, but I like that they tried. So okay, do you know if this is true or not?
Mm.
I've heard that when they cast Annette O'Toole as Martha in Smallville, that they didn't realize that she was Lana in this movie, like that she had the connection already to Superman. What is with the crotch shot?
I didn't look at that part.
I
have no idea.
Okay, it's just a weird show. Why do you? I don't get it. Anyways, sorry, I got distracted. But
yeah,
she's great. I really like.
Yeah.
I think she's great in this film. She was one of the best parts of Smallville. I thought was her. I mean, her and Jonathan. Roy Schneider was also Rob Schneider was also just as Martha and Jonathan.
Oh, absolutely.
Were so good in Smallville, and I think Annette O'Toole in this one is also. I mean, because she's kind of silly, right? She's clumsy. She makes mistakes. I mean, she's just charming. She's that the girl that you're like, I left her in the hometown, and wouldn't it be
very cold on that set?
Yes,
she's the what if girl. She
is, but she plays it really, really well. And just this whole sequence though, with like handing the DJ the plates, and running off with the vinyls, and but because she so effortlessly plays, she never makes her seem. Sorry,
I never caught that.
Oh,
I always wondered, like, why is he confused? Why is she doing that? I didn't like.
Yeah, because
for some reason I never noticed this little interaction. She messed up the plates and the vinyls.
She runs back, trades them out again, but she walks the line of being kind of enduring and charming without coming across as like dumb. Like I never got the impression that they're trying to make Lana seem like she's stupid. That she's just caught up in like trying to be helpful and she's excited to see Clark again.
Other problems.
She's got other issues, but yeah, man, Brad though. So do you remember in the very first Superman though? I mean, Brad was mentioned in that when they're like, oh, Brad, because he was the jerk who like knocked over all the equipment, and they showed him briefly in the high school sequence of the original Superman film, and he was the jerk to Clark back in that sequence.
I don't remember that. I genuinely love that kind of stuff in movies like this. They did a little bit of something like that in Man of Steel that I always really appreciated. He had the one guy who was like his bully, and then he like saves him during the bus thing, and that he knows Clark's secret, and then at the climax of the movie when he's fighting Feora and he gets thrown through the IHOP, and there's the same guy, and he's now just the manager of the IHOP, and they like have eye contact, and that this guy knows that's freaking Clark Kent. And I don't know, I love that scene and that kind of Smallville relationship stuff, and I did kind of like it in here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Brad might get overused a tiny bit in this movie, but having a character like that is actually, I think, good and fun. So, the big mistake here that Richard Pryor makes is taking all this at once. Like doing the skimming, but then having it all go to one check. 'Cause he wouldn't have gotten caught so fast if he had, been a little more patient. I mean, they obviously really take it even further when they go to the scene where they're discovering that this is an issue, and then, well, we'll never catch him unless he does something stupid, and then he drives up in a Ferrari.
Yeah,
just
but I think that's supposed to be the thing, is that he's not
he's
a criminal mastermind.
No.
He's an idiot savant, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, he's one of those people who's extremely intelligent, but without a lot of common sense. I mean, those people exist throughout history.
Hi, I'm Zach. What's up?
Aw.
Man,
I don't want to clean up this room. It looks awful.
Right? It's just like, if only Clark wasn't interested in keeping his secret for a second.
What's funny too is he barely does anything to help in this whole scene. They're just kind of talking, but he's just he's more interested in hanging out with her than helping, She like walks over here and he's just like tinkers on the piano, and oh gosh.
Yeah.
potato salad.
Oh God, could you imagine
Oh, the next day.
day and a half old potato salad?
And this was probably not good AC in this gym. Oh goodness.
I don't know. Like I said,
Just a lot of BO and the smell of a booze in this room.
right? Oof. I did like this scene though.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I really like scenes of superheroes just being people and living life in between stuff, and I think that's something that's been lost, especially in like modern Marvel movies. Every single scene has to have a point that's super important. There's no just kind of giving them a second to breathe and be people that allows you to attach to them better.
Yeah.
Because that's something like Iron Man actually did, and some parts with Captain America have those moments.
Marvel did that at the beginning, and they lost it as they got so plot driven. But yeah, this whole sequence, this is about Clark and Lana, and just him, kind of remembering and being nostalgic. That even he's like, feeling nostalgia about high school and about Lana, and just about a smaller, simpler time. Webster, you were
probably lonely, given that he ended things with Lois at the end of part 2.
He kissed her, made her forget him.
He's looking.
Yep. So right here,
Somehow.
yeah. What a plot device. Oh gosh. Okay, this whole layer. He's such. I mean, he's a straight up Bond villain, right? Like I don't know how else to describe him.
Yeah.
He just stumbled into a Superman movie because Lex actually like he literally, until Superman, he doesn't even mention or have any indication that Superman is even on his radar until Superman interferes with the Columbia coffee thing later. It's almost like almost like a Lex. He understood Superman is like he's the thing I've got to overcome. He is the single greatest thing I've got to worry about. And this guy, it's like when he gets brought up later, it's like, oh, that's right, Superman, is like a factor.
I know that he's supposed to have been inspired by the character of Maxwell Lord, who is a industrialist in the DC comics. He was played by Pedro Pascal in Wonder Woman 1984. Things like that. He's going to be played by James Gunn in the upcoming Superman movie, which is coming out next week, time of recording. And there's but it's interesting that you bring that up, because Lex Luthor, up until this point in the comics and the movies, was just mad scientist criminal mastermind.
He wasn't like the business mogul, right? Okay.
After this movie, shortly after this movie, they had the Crisis on Infinite Earths, or the original Crisis, I think, a comic event, and after that, he was much more like this.
Really?
And so a lot of people will say that this is the movie that changed Lex Luthor.
I did not know that.
I thought that was really
and it's where, again, I don't have a lot of comic knowledge of Lex Luthor. Most of my Lex Luthor
educated, Scrib.
I know. Most of my knowledge of Lex Luthor outside of these films was in the animated series, the Clancy Brown iteration, which is a great, Clancy Brown.
Love Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Love Clancy Brown. Good old Mr. Krabs, Lex Luthor.
Him, he had such an epic, yelling at idiots. He couldn't stand the incompetent criminals around him. Anyways, so I always assumed that he, as a businessman, that was just part of his thing. I love with Brad here that Clark is obviously taller and bigger. Like he's, substantially more muscular and several inches taller than Brad. And Brad is still like, trying to act all, just.
But here we have another one of those things that just doesn't kind of make sense. Like, if you were having it so that Superman is having a emotional crisis, which they haven't established, but was apparently the original intent of a lot of these scenes, that his ability to control his powers is slipping slightly because of his emotional state. Sounds like a, plot of an episode of Smallville, which It was.
Yeah.
Um,
Many times.
and a plot of an episode of Superboy, and a plot of an episode of Lois and
even,
Clark,
like-
and a plot of
But even like right here, like
Ren
this
Lowe.
was all. I always took this as being very intentional. Like he gave himself an excuse to sneeze by deliberately
like-
hitting the. What was everybody supposed to think here? By the way, like what was? I don't explain this to me. What is
It's like all of a sudden,
anybody watching this in real life supposed to think just happened?
I'm fairly certain they're about to get a visit from Argus, and that kid is about to be taken away by the U.S. government because obviously they've discovered a metahuman.
It's just
and
so
he's
like
gonna end up on the Suicide Squad.
it's ridiculous. Oh gosh,
Yeah.
there are a couple plot things in this movie that are just so. I mean, and that's a small one, but the idea that just one that
It's so stupid.
It is. It's stupid that his sneeze was so focused that it didn't knock the kid over, right? That it just
Well, I mean, that's
affected
Superman's powers.
just affected the bowling ball perfectly. Just that bowling ball would have gone through the building, right, at the speed that
Yeah.
it hit those pins at.
Though it is kind of funny that there was one pin that was just like left intact
Yeah,
in the middle.
just chilling. He didn't actually get the split. That's the thing.
No. God, that reminds me of like I was recently watching the YouTube channel Corridor Crew, and they have the shorts that they make of those weird little bowling pin animations, but they make them awful,
Mm.
like inappropriate. Not like inappropriate, but like evil. Like the pins getting killed in a gang in a like gang violence type of thing.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't know why, but every time I see bowling in movies now, I think of those.
Okay. So this whole scene though, okay, I'll say one too. I appreciate that they have the yo-yo being a kind of a constant with Richard Pryor's character. I mean, it was there in the DMV, not the DMV, the unemployment scene, the very, very, like literally the first shot. They show his face and they go to the wide shot of his feet and they show him with the yo-yo. Because he actually uses it multiple times throughout this movie in interesting ways. But this whole sequence where he comes up and this whole confrontation, on one hand, I actually kind of respect Mr. Webster here, like recognizing that to him, $85,000 is probably like nothing. It's like a rounding error in his company. But that he's so just like, ooh, he recognizes that this is an opportunity. Like it actually, this is like the one scene that shows that he's not an idiot. But it's still played so slapstick here. It's still Richard Pryor's like his mannerisms and the whole drink and the way that the pacing of the dialogue, the way that he just stepped off the little roundabout thing there. It's just played silly. It's played like it's supposed to not be. Like they don't want you to take this seriously. They want you to treat this like it's a kid's story. But then it turns around and wants you to take it very seriously when Superman is like destroying things later and almost killing people with peanuts.
Right. Well, supposedly Richard Pryor was pretty high on a couple of different
I have no doubt.
substances during the making of this. There were all kinds of strange rumors with the making of this movie. Like one of them being that they were going to recast Superman because Christopher Reeve didn't want to, and then they backed buckets of money up to his door probably. But there was this big rumor that Superman had actually been recast with Tony Danza.
Oh gosh,
that's been thoroughly denied over the years, but I thought that it was funny. Because what a horrible thing.
A wise man, Attila the Hun. Seems
well, Attila the Hun was smarter than people give him credit for.
Well, I know, but just the idea of he's so was Hitler, but you generally don't quote him. Well, if you're a good guy,
not really though, because Hitler was a charismatic moron.
You know what I mean?
His cabinet, people like Goebbels and whatnot, were the real masterminds there. But Attila the Hun, fascinating historical character. But I won't go into that.
Yeah. But just I mean, again, they're playing all this very straight, while also being obviously silly about it. the one thing I can't stand is greed, from the person who's like saying he can't stand competition. And it's just, there's this whole thing of like taking the time to do the bingo winners who go down to, to get injured just to have the comedy bit where they come back and yell at Perry White about suing him because they got injured during a hurricane or a tornado in Colombia. It's all so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like there's
I think it's supposed to.
It doesn't. You can cut all
part
this
of a
stuff.
larger idea.
Yeah.
Of, Superman becoming disgruntled with the people that he saves, but that was essentially completely cut.
And that's
an
interesting story.
Redundant comedy.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that I would love to see somebody tackle. I'm tired of because we already got a little bit of it, and it's in the time of recording again. I have not seen Superman, the James Gunn one. I'm looking forward to it. I have high hopes for it, but I am worried that once again we're going to get more of a the government and he's interfering, and I would be really interested in a film that explored not a Superman at odds with power and governments and that kind of stuff, but just apathy of being taken for granted, about people just not seeing him as a savior anymore, just assuming he'll be there. Like that's an interesting story. I would love to see that explored, because human beings would 100% do that. They would get used to him being there. I mean, I would love to see and like have a good character of like somebody that works in like ES, and whether they're a paramedic or a firefighter or a cop, you could pick any of your branches of emergency services, and like use them as a point of reference for they live in the world where randomly Superman can show up and just solve everything, and you kind of get. I would love to see that theme explored. And it would take a really good writer to make that capture people's attention and justify the budget you would need to make a modern Superman movie. And it's more exciting to do the military and the government, having a conflict with Superman, right?
The thing is, I feel like you could do kind of all that. Like, imagine if you could write a Superman movie, because this is something I've thought of various plots for myself. But imagine if you had that where you have Lois Lane doing some sort of story on emergency services and Superman. Maybe like Superman gets injured or something like that, and you have some big exciting opening, and you have something where it kind of takes him out, right? And you have it kind of street level, like you're saying, and it explores the theme of like some people have gotten used to it now that he's not around anymore. They're actually kind of getting resentful of him and mad. And then you have the military who's in kind of a similar position because they want Superman to fight their wars. They want Superman to stop conflicts. They want Superman to be out of certain conflicts. And that actually brings him into conflict with the military to the point of where they deploy some sort of new weapon that will be kind of like they don't need Superman because they have this thing instead. And it does make Superman feel kind of useless and or irrelevant. But of course, that's the thing that's going bad. And you have big fight scene at the end type of thing. I think that there's some really interesting ideas there of like Superman and Clark figuring out how to deal with this crap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would have been... Well, when we get to it, and when we get to Superman Returns, one of the big sins of that movie in my mind, and I actually like that movie quite a bit, but it has many problems. One of them is it has the perfect line. It just fails to capitalize on it in any interesting way, which is Lois's article when he was gone for a couple of years. Why the world doesn't need Superman. Which is like, okay, there you go. That's a fantastic movie. Talk about that. Explore that idea. Yeah. The world doesn't need Superman. Maybe the world does need Superman. Maybe the world doesn't need... But like, explore that idea instead of rehashing a Lex Luthor real estate plan. Gosh, okay, sorry. I'm going to save that for that movie. But you know what I mean? Like, exploring the most interesting Superman movies and stories are about... did you see like the actual sound waves coming off of his head there briefly?
No, I didn't.
You didn't? Okay. We can't pause and go back, but like when he like first looks out into the field, there's literally it looks like a sideways signal icon on your cell phone, signal strength icon, like coming off his head sideways. It's in the movie. It's like a weird special effect that's very subtle. But anyways, it again, Superman's interaction with the world, how the world treats him, how the world takes him for granted, or resents him, or the world's feelings about Superman, and then Superman dealing with that. Those are interesting stories. Because it is.
I think that is. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I love those themes, and there's so many different angles you can approach with that, and there's so many different, whether it's apathy or entitlement or resentment, there's a lot of human reactions you could have, and they're all interesting. And then how Superman deals with those, I would love to see that, and I think that those are more interesting stories than Superman beats up another big villain.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm excited for the James Gunn Superman, because that's one of the larger themes that they're going to be dealing with, because they just have Superman and he's out there to save people. They are going to be using the government in it because they need a big mean entity. But it's also going to be how people react to it as well, because, government and media and that interconnection there. And it is going to be about his personal, from what I can tell anyway, by what I've read, and certainly didn't see any early screenings or anything like that. But there is a large amount of it that is about people who turn against Superman because his goodness doesn't necessarily match what they're told is being good. And it's emotionally trying on him, and he has to ask the question of, why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
And I love that.
I certainly hope that it does that it nails that, because if it manages to attack that story beat well, then I could see that film shooting really high up my ranking. So I mean, again, at time recording this next weekend, I will be there. So I'm looking forward to discussing that with you, Zach. Once I'm assuming you'll be seeing that movie pretty quickly when it comes out. Also,
I'm so excited. Oh, I have my tickets.
Okay.
Like, it's on my calendar. I'm looking at my calendar that my wife draws up every single month on this whiteboard across from my office area, and there's there's the Superman symbol that I very roughly drew in marker.
Nice.
I'm there. This is my thing. This is my jam. This is why I'm there.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Gosh, so this whole sequence, like, again, Richard Pryor is just doing a comedy bit here, just in the middle of the movie. He's doing a character.
Mm-hmm.
The voice he's doing, everything. Like, I don't think this was scripted. I think this was just they gave him a general, like, talk your way into the building by doing a bit.
Mm-hmm. And how is it that he can be heard through the glass, but the other guy has to shout?
And did he just know that the security guard would be an alcoholic? Like, did he just have that in? Did he recon the place ahead of time and know that was the way in? Because it clearly shows here his plan. Yeah, but the plan was to go in and get this guy to pass out.
Yeah.
This hat. All I know about this hat is this is what in the Celebrity Jeopardy on Saturday Night Live, the guy for Burt Reynolds would always wear a version of this hat, right?
Beats me.
Okay.
I don't watch this stuff. But this is the type of thing. This is the type of comedy that I'm okay with in this situation, in this movie. Like, he needs to get in here with the guard. He's kind of a salt of the earth guy. He figured out what this guy wants, and he gets a little bit drunk with him, and he's just wearing a giant random cowboy hat.
Oh yeah,
that's funny. I'm okay with that in here. It's a lot of the other weird stuff that's going on during conversations, like the bar that spins around and things like that. That just doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of like that. I thought that was really funny.
This whole sequence, actually this, and then the whole computer thing, and again, having the 2 key cards, which was a thing in security, and getting his yo-yo and all that. I actually think that all of this is fun. If
there were some people who were asking, why do they need freaking nuclear code keys in order to get into this stuff? And I'm like, they really do not understand how security worked back in the day.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of sensitive stuff on here, and then, passwords and that whole thing was not nearly as good. I mean, this was very analog. I think people don't realize how analog these computers were.
Yeah.
This is like, these are computers that make Apple IIe's look advanced. So,
Mm-hmm. Like, these things don't have enough processing power to run Angry Birds.
this is also a sequence where like Richard Pryor's timing and just kind of zaniness here. I'm a little bit of a sucker for all the nostalgia for the branding. I mean, again, I'm a kid of the era of, the Fritos bag and the old KFC stuff, and just his plaid suit is so ridiculous.
Oh, I hate that suit.
He's driving him here. He's like, just the engine sound effects. Oh, it's just silly.
Yeah, you see, this is the type of comedy that I'm okay with in this situation. It shows the character. It's not pointless. It's showing that he's
a little tipsy.
It's growing the character.
Yeah. Well, and even here, Richard Pryor never has like a cruel moment in this movie. He actually goes out of his way. Like he never tries to hurt anybody.
Yeah, just the opposite.
Yeah.
His whole thing is saving people, even in a weird way.
This is, I'm not sure how this would work. It's a long yo-yo string all of a sudden. But what is he leveraging on too? Just like a lamp back there or something? Or the actual computer
it looks
itself?
Like a pole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a really funny moment.
Wheat King.
I think it's good.
Yeah, I love that it's an appropriate subsidiary out in Smallville, and it kind of in a way harkens back to LexCorp, which Smallville obviously really explored, but the idea that Smallville, there was a Lex plant out there in Smallville.
Mm-hmm. LuthorCorp. It wasn't LexCorp.
Oh, that's right, because it was. Yeah, he renamed it after he killed Lionel.
Mm-hmm. It took like 5 seasons too long for that to happen.
Okay. This whole sequence, though, pushes the boundary way too far, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. This is when it starts to get weird.
And time has no meaning here. Like, the actual timeline of all this... Okay, there's a computer glitch, and it starts messing up this bank right away. That's fine. But then we, cut to, mail being printed, and the reaction the next day. It's, during breakfast with, the couple, the credit card bill... And then the intersection, how much time is supposed to have gone by here? Is this all in real time as Richard Pryor is doing this? How long is he working at this computer?
I don't know, man. I really hate that light scene.
Where they fight? Yeah, it's so stupid.
One of my favorite things though doing research on this movie was them talking about that moment, because while addressing some of the problems with this movie, they were talking to the producers. And one of the producers, they were bringing up that weird scene and stuff like that. And the guy's answer was literally well, we don't know that couldn't happen. What?
No, it quite literally can't, because those are not fully digitalized displays. There literally is a silhouette of a guy walking and a guy stopping, and one lights up and one doesn't. You couldn't. Right. They quite literally are not capable of animation.
Yeah, it's just. And then, all of a sudden it switches, and the cars are just, gonna go? What are they trying to scare the people in the thing? They're not. Just, you wait for it to stop, right?
Yeah. This is the kind of thing that. It seems like the kind of thing you come up in the writer's room, wouldn't it be funny if we had this whole thing in a crosswalk and all these people in the car? And it's just it translates so poorly on film because it just comes across as it's stupid. It's just dumb. So it goes from a good comedy bit.
It's the type of thing that would work in a Beatles movie, right?
Yeah.
But this isn't a Beatles movie.
No. But again, we've gone from a down-to-earth comedy bit between two people involving alcohol and the middle of the night in an office, and it's just goofy and funny, to just this over-the-top. You could have shown some. It went way too far. Okay, so here's the other plot device I just hate so much. Just out of nowhere, we have
space lasers.
A weather satellite that can create weather,
well, like you said, very James Bondian.
Yeah, but the fact that like this was just up there, and the government was like, and nobody had. If the satellite could do this, it would have already been being done. Like, there's no way the government would have a satellite that could manipulate weather, and it wouldn't have been.
I think it's supposed to be like, oh, it's a secret project that was put up by the bad guy, and that's how they're able to do it. Nobody else has this technology or knows about it. Oh my gosh!
But then, okay, so this to me is egregious. But then later with the kryptonite, it's way off the scale, because just very casually, it's like, well, just send that weather satellite out to the remnants of Krypton and like scan debris. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, you're right.
What are you
Like,
what are you talking about? This thing's like an interstellar probe now that has a warp drive, apparently, because it can get over to Krypton and
Right?
back in the matter of like a day or two or whatever it takes. And it's so, like, you can tell nobody read that part and was like, what? What are you talking about? There's kryptonite on the planet already. It's been established. Just find some way to write in them finding it. Or maybe they can't get the original sample, so all they can do is get like some tiny sliver of it, and they have to like analyze it, and it's not you could still do the same exact thing. You could find some, like, maybe you find where Lex Luthor had kept his, and all you get is like some rubbing of it, and you like scan it, analyze it, and it's incomplete sample, or some way. But it's just so stupid.
Yeah. Like, I genuinely have no idea how they came to the conclusion that the best idea is to just send a satellite into deep space.
Yeah. And again, the timeline. Okay, so here, I do love the idea.
What do you think of this?
This is all Epsom salt.
Salt?
This is salt.
I can kind of see it, I guess.
Yeah, I was watching the behind the scenes. It's a name brand Epsom salt.
Fascinating.
Well, because they needed something that wouldn't melt, and you actually can ski on. And apparently you can ski on enough salt.
Wow. We could go on a nice little winter vacation over to the Star Wars subreddits.
You gotta have the red undertones, right?
Yeah. They keep making all these jokes throughout the movie about how ugly his sister is, this lady.
She's not that ugly.
She's not particularly pretty. She probably was when she was younger, but it's just like, she's fine.
No. Yeah,
they keep making these like jokes about her being like really ugly.
I wonder if it's just supposed to be in contrast to the bimbo that he's got with him, but
maybe.
I
was vicariously hurt for her.
Yeah, we're gonna cast you in this movie. You're gonna be evil. Everybody's gonna talk about you like you should be walking around with a paper bag on your head, and then we're gonna turn you into a robot during the finale.
Technically cyborg.
That's okay. Yes, you're right.
Okay, and what do you think of this whole thing where Superman's involvement is off screen?
It's, again, I think that this was written because they show it, right? They show little bits here, but they just, I think, again, they just had somebody was up in a writer's room, like with on a whiteboard going, how many bits can we get Richard Pryor to do in this movie? And so we think, well, he's got to do a bit where he's like being Superman, right? I really think it was as simple as that. Yeah, I think that they just wanted the bit where well, because again, he was describing Superman and kind of doing Superman on the Tonight Show before he got cast in this movie, and like, well, we should put that in the movie. I think it was as simple as that. I think this was written in reverse to figure out a way to have Richard Pryor have this scene, and then they probably were like, well, we should probably also show the tornado being reversed is just a bad effect.
Right. It's just like, it's your basic paint out.
Yeah, it's yeah. I could do the effect that well on my computer here at home. Right?
I could do that same thing 15 years ago.
Yeah. The other thing too is the Webster here was this an outtake? I think this was an outtake when his chair broke, and they just went with it. Anyways,
I cannot confirm or deny that.
Yeah. He's such a weird combination of being very flat and then all of a sudden having like these bursts of energy that seem kind of out of nowhere. Like his temperament is
Oh, I know
not
exactly
is
what
not
that is.
consistent. Like, go ahead.
That's bipolar disorder.
Uh-huh. Sorry. She is distracting every time they get close. I know she's supposed to be fair.
Because her little
Yes.
winter coat is
And
so
her belly
far
button.
down.
Oh, goodness. Well, they just in the background.
Yeah.
He's just walking up this. So this whole gag too. Again, he's dead. Like there's no I mean, obviously, I'm telegraphing here a little bit, but this whole, just again, I would call this almost a Buster Keaton-esque sequence that's about to happen here.
Good way to
Is
put it.
so ridiculous. It's not even funny. It's just dumb.
Bad. Just bad.
Well, because also too, they just showed there, whenever it cuts to them, you see how tall the little wall is behind them. It's like a 3 or 4 foot wall, and he goes through it somehow. Like, I mean, it's like a mixture of Buster Keaton and Looney Tunes here all of a sudden.
Yeah, like
there's like a ramp there, right? Like he goes up and over it. You literally watch him.
there must have been. And then literally at this point, you're expecting him to be rescued by Superman, right?
Something like that, yeah. No, he's fine.
And then he just falls and he's fine. It's so bizarre.
It doesn't do anything either. Again, by having him, it's just a gag for the sake of having a gag. It has no relevance whatsoever.
Yep.
So yeah, it just sends it sends this satellite, a weather satellite, into outer space.
Like, yeah, let's just go look in deep space because that's totally what.
Well, and
satellites can do.
it's lasers. They manipulate weather, and they also scan mineral deposits floating into space.
Oh my goodness! Whoa.
Those are some really multi-talented lasers there.
Mm-hmm. Oh no. Yeah, no, it bugs me so much. I genuinely don't even want to think about it. I want to talk about it, Brian. We're done here. Okay.
Tar.
You got the camel.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
Like the whole thing there, like the printout, was kind of interesting to me. I paused that at one point to look at it.
Like, wonder if you actually tried to make that like what you would get.
Yeah.
Like this
The
whole
other
sequence.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just again, like the point is they wanted to have a, okay, on his door, Dairy Ranch. I'm wondering if the other two names on his door is of an Easter egg of some kind. Like I get the idea here of wanting to have Lana connect with him, in Metropolis. I don't mind that. It's just, it's like they felt like they couldn't cut to him without having something with Perry White. And Perry White's an interesting character. It's just completely wasted in this film.
Yeah. Are you talking about like the people wanting to go in and sue him and all that stuff?
Yeah, sue him because they were in Colombia when, the whole thing happened, the Superman. It's just stupid.
Yeah, I think it's a remnant of that idea of Superman becoming like more and more broken down and angry at society. But you know how it is.
Okay, this scene though too, I do like when Clark's on the phone with Lana here, just the look on his face, and just as he's kind of going through, and like the very end there where she hangs up and she says, looking forward to seeing you too. That she's not just interested in Superman. How big of a deal that would be, like how hard that would hit him in a good way. That Lana is also interested in Clark, because he would have so many people to be interested in just Superman, and to have somebody be like, no, I also like you, Clark. That would be such a big deal to him.
Yeah, it like It's weird that this movie almost makes me like the character of Lana Lang. I hate Lana Lang and like everything else.
This poor kid. I feel bad for him with
Right?
that haircut.
Yeah.
Oh, this band is so bad.
Poor Clark. Poor kid.
This whole scene is just awkward, right? It's just
It is. I don't even know what to say. I want to be like, so, in the comics, at the end of the movie, they have Lana Lang who becomes a reporter for the Daily Planet, which she did in the comics. Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane, number 60 or something like that. Um,
But
But
this,
no, it's
this,
just-
yeah,
yeah.
this was what they came up with, like a way to deliver the kryptonite to Superman. Was that they had to come up with this whole thing where it's like, okay, so Lana's kid, like, wants him to come for his birthday, but then it turns into a whole thing, and randomly they're going to know about this, and they're going to show up as military people, and he's going to give a pat. Again, I feel like this was written in reverse. And there was like a checkbox for a couple things. All right, we got to get the kryptonite to Superman. So we need Richard Pryor to do another bit. Wouldn't it be cool if Richard Pryor did the famous Patton scene in our movie? Because that'd be a fun bit to see Richard Pryor do. And then while he's doing it, he could like hand Superman like the kryptonite. It wouldn't. I mean. And Superman would kind of be standing up there, and because he's in public, he wouldn't really know how to react, and he would just kind of take it and smile and sit back down. And it's like a scene written to get the plot advanced, and also to let your comedian have a bit.
Yeah.
And
Like
it's
a bit that
just-
he's known for also,
Yeah. It's just written. Yeah, this is the wrong way to write a film. It's also just a weird. Like, the bit itself is not... Again, Richard Pryor is a talented comedian. I don't think this is a funny sequence. Like, what he's doing here, I don't find very funny at all. It's just awkward.
I'm sitting there and I'm just like, is this to its time? Is it cultural? Like, I don't know. Is it just bad?
Is it like a plastic thing here? And he's talking about the chemical plants that was on fire? Is it like there was only 2 chemical plants in the country? Or... It's just...
And apparently they make molded plastic seats.
Yeah. And the pens
When did
also, because
Patton
if the
come
pen... Patton was 70s, I want to say.
I suppose this would have been like more culturally relevant, is my guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Oh.
1970 was Patton, the film.
Oh, wow. So that's even a pretty dated reference by that time. 13 years.
Well, I mean, it is a famous sequence, obviously. But, again, it's just odd, too. Also, just the idea that Superman... It's the timing of this whole thing is weird, that Superman isn't, like... I get that he's in public, but that he's not, like, kind of like, all right, what is this? And then it's also strange that they don't do anything with any kind of, like, it has to... Because even Smallville did the whole... He's got to stay in proximity to it, right? Kryptonite has always traditionally been... It's got to be in him or on him in some way.
Okay, so that's a whole other can of beans.
But you never see this chunk of rock again. After this sequence, it disappears. It's not like it's, like, hanging around with him or whatever. But go ahead. Tell me what I'm missing here in the comics.
Okay, kryptonite is just kind of a be-all, end-all. Especially different kinds of kryptonite. If you recall from Smallville, because I know that you watched that through, there's all these different varieties of kryptonite, and some of them have very unique effects, including one-time effects, and that's straight out of the comics. Any exposure to red kryptonite, which if they were really going for comic book accuracy, this would be red kryptonite, because red kryptonite just had random ass effects on Superman.
But didn't he have to stay in contact?
It would make him lose his memory. No, he wouldn't.
Really? Okay, well,
then
I'm just thinking of how they portrayed it in Smallville then.
Well, even in Smallville, if he came in contact with gold kryptonite, he would lose his powers for a little while. If he came in contact with red kryptonite, it would make him lose control
his self-control.
for a little while.
Well, but that, though, he had to, like, wear it, like, as a ring. Like, he had to... Like that was the whole thing that he like chose to put on the class ring that had red kryptonite in it.
Oh, that's right.
And
Okay,
his
my
dad
bad.
like smashed the ring, which like instantly broke him out of the like the haze he was in. So
Okay,
I mean
don't like
it's
that.
it's a small thing for sure, but to me it's
Mhm.
odd that like right here that the kryptonite's not just like sitting on her table or something. It should be in the shot to remind you to like help the audience know what is happening. You know, like
Yeah.
it should be in frame here with him as he's changing, as he's
Mhm.
obviously going through something, and he should walk out with it. It I think for a lot of audience members, they'd be confused right now. Like, wait a minute, like what's going on? Why is he acting weird?
Yeah.
Because
You need to like have the cultural knowledge immediately in front of you that, oh yes, kryptonite.
yeah, because he looked at it. He kind of had a puzzle look like, I don't even know what this is. Then they had the phone conversation with Richard Pryor saying like, yeah, nothing happened. It's weird. And then they cut to this, but it's nowhere to be seen. And it's a subtle enough shift in his behavior that I could imagine a lot of the audience is being genuinely confused all of a sudden, like not understanding what happened, what's happening here and what caused it.
Yeah, I could see that as well.
There is this subtle
Um,
shift though. And I will say this, you know, Christopher Reeve's performance is good because he has such a light touch in just his mannerisms, his face. They shoot that the lighting on him is a little bit different. Like it's actually
Yeah.
a good shift. Like his performance, and then later when they literally change his costume to be a darker red and
Mhm.
blue.
Yeah.
Those are all nice touches.
Yeah. I was gonna say over these scenes they slowly start turning him his colors a little darker, his face a little darker. They accentuate the gray in his hair,
They let him have a little
Um,
stubble.
little stubble. This is the first Superman movie where Superman Christopher Reeve wears a wig as Superman. Because he developed alopecia and was losing spots of his hair.
This is one of the few, like, this makes me chuckle, but I also just am like, it's just stupid. It's not
Yeah.
needed. It's just one more
I-
gag for Superman being just a jackass. Like, you know, like
Yeah,
he's not gonna hurt. He's not hurting anybody with this. It's just like, really, you're just being a jerk.
right? This is evil Superman, not the boys' evil Superman, not invincible evil Superman. This is just
Not Hancock.
super nuisance.
It's just like, I mean, like they
Like-
do this, then they go to like the Olympics randomly. The Olympics are happening. He's like blowing out the torch, and you know
Right?
I mean, and they escalate to like the tanker, but he has to get goaded into the tanker. What's interesting is
Yeah,
outside of being goaded, he actually doesn't go out of his way to do anything other than just being kind of an annoying jerk.
yeah,
Like his evil is not that evil. It's just until he causes an oil spill, then that's pretty evil. But then they have that one sequence there, right? He moves the tower, and then they go to off screen reading about the world is already kind of turned on him because they're already aware that he's being, you know, different. Okay, this whole scene, what is he doing? What is she doing? What is happening right here?
aerobics.
This is
He's on a
like
treadmill. He's just on a shitty treadmill,
He's like
and she's
barely.
just being sexy.
She's just being like sexy wannabe aerobics, and he's like, he has not even worked up a sweat. You know, it's just, oh my gosh, it's so ridiculous.
Early Pilates.
The statue back there with like the sunglasses on its head.
Yeah, and that's actual footage from the Olympics.
Oh yeah, you could tell. The grain in this all of a sudden kicks way up.
Yeah, it was the 1980 Olympics.
Yeah,
I think the Olympics were in 80.
yeah.
I
Well,
read it
it's,
somewhere. I forgot it already.
yeah. This is, you know, I mean, it's always, yeah, the even years, but it's man, again, this is such a they give this so much time though. Like they let the voiceover happen and him running in and all the way up the stairs, and you know this is like a 3-minute sequence to just show that
Wow, I
Superman's,
didn't
you
realize it
know,
was this long, you know.
It's kind of
I
bad.
admit that I was already out of it by the time I got to this part of the movie recently.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd remember this from seeing it as a kid, and my mom insisted on it a bunch of times. I'm like, I do not remember any of this, mother.
But did they
What are you
spend
talking about?
like you could cut this scene to like 20 seconds and have the full effect still.
Right?
Like all you need there is Superman yawning and then just like and then I would love to have them cut back to him. Yeah, that little smirk right there. That little
Yeah.
Christopher Reeves
Well-
nails it. Just that like I'm out. Flies off. This poor guy.
Abby, that's all, folks.
Oh gosh. Critique of Pure Reason by Kant. And okay, they have, other than her knowing the name of Kryptonite, it's kind of out of the blue that all of a sudden she's like intelligent here. Like they haven't been setting it up until right now.
Some dialogue earlier
But
where she's just like saying some insightful things and they're just ignoring her.
this is quite the high resolution screen, by the way, on the bottom of this this fountain. Now, I will say this layer, very they have a lot of stuff hidden. Like they have this screen underneath this fountain. When they go over later, they have like the fireplace splits open, and they have all the map of all the oil pumps. It reminds me of the episode of Deep Space Nine, one of the Holosuite episodes where they do the James Bond episode of Deep Space Nine. Do you remember that one? Our man Bashir.
Our man Bashir, they hide everybody's patterns and they can't store everybody's patterns in the pattern buffer. So they're like, where can we store it?
The whole thing.
Next storage matrix.
Oh yeah, but I mean that was a fun episode, especially having Garrick and Bashir as trapped in the holosuite. But the Cisco as the Bond villain and his lair on the top of Mount Everest very much had these style, the big displays with the dots and just all the stuff. It just makes me think of that.
Yeah. You Only Live Twice is kind of the origin of all that. The James Bond movie, You Only Live Twice.
I know I've seen that one, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
I get a taste.
Like, this is when you get this kind of feeling of like, now he's going to be turning into the bad guy, but he doesn't really,
Well, when he busts out the schematics here in a second, on like all the the torn up like scraps and napkins, and he actually, I love that part of his schematics are on a Camel wrapper, Camel cigarettes wrapper, which they've established he does smoke. It's just okay. So savants though with like programming, are they usually also like the hardware guys?
I mean, it depends. It really does. I've met some weird people with weird specialties.
Because like I really enjoy and I'm into hardware. Software, I'm very like lightweight. I'm not nearly as good with software. I'm much more comfortable with hardware. And I know a lot of guys who are the opposite. They're really good at software, but hardware is not their thing. Obviously not that you couldn't be both, but again, it's
I'll say that it's definitely them taking liberty in the writing, but at the same time, there was a very large difference between how we handle it now and how we handled it then. Hardware and programming were a lot more intertwined at this time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Good. That's a heck of a chess set. I love that later when they show this computer being built down in the canyon, they actually show that like they didn't make real like nice versions of his plans. Like the crew down there actually has just like his torn up pieces of paper that they're like assembling it based on. Oh gosh.
It's just it's awful.
That you would be able to build the whole thing without him there to help you. That you would be able to build that computer based off that drawing. I get that that's his point of reference. Most of the details are in his head. There's no way that you'd be able to get that without him there.
Yeah, agreed. And like suddenly the sister becomes an expert on it.
Oh yeah, and then the idea here that where are the oil tankers in the Pacific? Every oil tanker.
Those are in the Atlantic. And
so he sent all the tankers in the Pacific like through the Panama Canal into the Atlantic.
Took on the Cape.
Went around the Cape. Oh gosh. And again, the amount of time that's gone by. It would take weeks for this to, even if you somehow did have all tankers except for one just randomly take their orders without question, without calling in, and that like none of the companies that run any oil companies would like question like where my tanker's going and radio them. I mean, just
this is just a straight up Silver Age comic. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
The only way to describe it properly, in my opinion. This is the type of comics that they had in the 60s and the 70s. This is stuff like Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane, where she's marrying somebody else this week in order to make Superman jealous.
Yeah. So this is we see his costume really take the turn here to full like the dark red in this shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little less obvious because the lighting's so low, but
yeah,
like down in his boots especially, you can see how much darker his boots are.
Mm-hmm.
He actually doesn't look bad, but it's, I like the touch. I like that they made him darker.
This scene kind of made me uncomfortable because you can see that like either A, she's like coke skinny almost, like she looks like she's on drugs.
Yeah.
She's so skinny.
Well, and then, okay. So she talks Superman into going and like, punching a hole in the side of this tanker.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, they absolutely have sex, right? Like, that's implied without any question, I think.
I read a couple takes on it. It's supposed to be more for kids. It's supposed to be more innocent than that. But no, like...
There's no way.
Superman's laying pipe here.
Yeah. It's just like, I mean, I'm sorry. It's just...
she doesn't have an LL name.
I always thought too here that he hit the ship. I always thought he like flew into the ship there, but then no, it's like right here it shows that he just like hit the outer layer. If you go back and you watch his impact, he goes like half into the ship. And then they cut back and he's just like, a couple inches deep in the outer layer of the hull.
Yeah. He's just Exxon Valdezing this thing.
Yep. I always wanted oil to get on his uniform, his suit, having some oil on it.
Obviously, it's hydrophobic material.
All right.
That's not a bad shot. I wonder if they actually had, like, it was probably a composite job.
Oh yeah. Overall, his flying is actually pretty good in this film. I want to say, like, for the era.
Yeah.
But yeah, so right here, it's like, all right, we're gonna just. I did what you want. Now give me what I want.
We never see her again for the rest of the movie because she was utterly pulverized by Superman's super thrusting.
Oh gosh.
She's just pulp.
This is definitely not like kids right here. This is not what
No,
what's funny is I don't remember this a whole lot from being, I mean, again, I saw this movie I was like 8-9 years old. And for some reason this did not stick in my brain. I feel like young me should have, but for some reason it didn't. Now Princess Leia, on the other hand, definitely from Return of the Jedi. I was among the
no comment on that, and it surely doesn't involve anything to do with the Rocketeer and Jennifer.
Oh, God. She's up there too. This whole sequence too. All right, so we got to show we're out of gas. Or not out of gas, but rationing fuel.
This would have been.
We're gonna have a fight.
This would have been extremely culturally relevant because at the end of the 1970s was the big. Like rationing.
Yeah, I mean, the audience would have had recent memories of this.
My parents talk about it a lot. Their honeymoon was during the rationing.
Love that he just slaps him. I mean,
if you look at a lot of like fights that happen, there's not a lot of punching and a lot more slapping.
Well, it's because most guys, despite what they want to think about themselves, don't actually know how to fight.
No, and whoever throws the first punch wins, but whoever throws the first slap is probably going to get slapped back.
Yeah. Well, that's why most fights just devolve into guys rolling around on the ground. Because that's what most guys are capable of doing.
Right.
We all want to think that we have a little UFC fighter in us, and we don't. Sorry to break it to you
No,
guys.
the only answer is to be the first one to throw a punch and make sure that it's the hardest punch.
Yeah.
Early versions of the Chinook.
Yeah. Old air crane. I do appreciate that all these guys are in white suits. It makes them, easy to see. They stand out against the background.
Yeah, well, and it's like safety, right?
Yeah. Webscone? Is that what it is?
Websco.
Websco.
Oh, Websco with an E. That's weird.
I do love this. The music of right too. I'll think of something. She doesn't even try to hide it at this point. She's not even like trying to come up with excuses. She's just like, stop calling me.
I mean, it's supposed to be her ex-husband, right?
No. Oh no, this isn't her ex-husband. No.
It's not like the father of her kid?
Nope. He just
always
wants
took it as the father of her kid.
No, if you go back to when she's first talking about it, and they actually show a picture of her ex-husband, he just took off. No, and it is not Brad.
I genuinely believed it was supposed to be Brad.
I mean, you're not crazy for jumping to that assumption, but if you go back and you watch the whole sequence at the reunion, she's makes it really clear it was somebody else.
Yeah.
So here, like this random guy is supposed to he assembles this computer based on nothing better than the drawings on that Camel cigarette pack.
Again, that's very 1970s comic book, but it doesn't translate to a movie well at all.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, famous scene here.
Oh yeah,
because you can perfectly loop this. I've sent it to people. You can perfectly loop Superman just taking shots, and it's really funny.
Superman, flicking peanuts would be it'd be scary. Although again,
right?
I think Christopher Reeves' acting here though is phenomenal.
Good makeup too.
Yeah. The subtleties in his face, his jaw, his eyes. It's just
that hint of self-loathing and the destruction of the mirror.
Yeah. Well, I think it's not over the top. He doesn't overdo this. I think a lot of actors would have tried to make it more just a bigger performance. And he lets it stay small enough where it is just, I just kind of hate everything right now.
Yeah. And it's done really well. There's a lot of people praise this whole thing as the best part of the movie. And I definitely see why.
Yeah. The actual fight itself is honestly, it doesn't hold up great in my mind. I know some people will hate me saying that because they love it. I think thematically, I love it. The actual fight itself, if you watch it unfold, is kind of cheesy, honestly. I suppose effects wise, it's rough. I mean, some of the transitions, from the stunt work, where the magnet falls on him, and we'll go through it here in a second, obviously. But thematically, I like it very much.
Yeah, this is very much the DC character of Bizarro, almost. They even. So one of the things about this movie is that a lot of people think that it did change Superman comic books a lot. The character of Bizarro, his costume actually changes to be much more like this after this movie comes out. But could you imagine being one of those workers? You're just hanging out, and Superman just flies in and starts screaming his ass off.
I appreciate the reaction because yes, you'd be like, I'm out. Not even gonna try. Stick around for whatever's coming here.
Yeah.
They finally let his hair get messed up, and
he looks rough in a really good way.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's this obsession right now with the evil Superman. It's most noteworthy from the TV show The Boys, or the comic/show Invincible, with the character of Omni-Man, Homelander for The Boys. There was Jupiter's Legacy. No, that was Jupiter's Legacy. Jupiter's Legacy. You're right. Jupiter Ascending was the weird sci-fi movie. Jupiter's Legacy was a Netflix show with Armie Hammer as this aged, kind of evil version of Superman called Jupiter. And it's a thing that I'm really not a fan of these days. It's so overused, it's so overdone, and it's so overshadowing Superman as like a good character. And it makes me sad. But I like this, and I want to see a little bit more of something like this.
Well, it's a way to have, to explore those themes a little bit. Oh man, yeah, he's like intense. That the random just pool of acid sitting in the no covering of any kind. Sorry, it's a very that's Looney Tunes-esque type.
It is, but it's also something they kind of do today. Did you see Venom: The Last Dance?
I have not seen any of the Venom movies.
They do the same thing, just like random acid. That's not going to be important later.
This prop.
Yeah.
It's just so obviously it's supposed to be metal. It doesn't act like metal. I get that Superman's holding on to it, but it's just, again, thematically, this fight is good. I think anybody who looks at this fight as a piece of choreographed, stunt work, it's a little rough. Performance-wise, though, again, it is good. I think Christopher Reeve as evil Superman in this whole sequence, I think this is it's good. His look, his tone, that scene earlier when he flies into him and just snarls almost. It's just because again, Christopher Reeve is so famous for being so
the nice guy,
good as this. That the smile, his smile, is iconic, and for him to just have this look on his face and nail it so well, it says a lot about his ability. He's an actor who I wish had gotten more. Just had more in a career.
Yeah, sadly,
this is a good piece of stunt work, by the way. This sequence, however they worked in the pocket that he was in, and having the moving parts and the actual, is very convincing for how. And there's a dude in there, it was well done.
Yeah, very much so.
It looked really good.
Are terrifying.
Yeah, it looked very good. Oh man, as much as there's parts of this sequence where I feel like the prop work isn't nearly as good, that's the one sequence where I feel like is genuinely terrifying, and it looked like he was getting crushed.
That's one of the things that I kept coming back to with people talking about this movie, is that there were scenes in this movie that genuinely terrified people, which is kind of strange because they're obviously trying to go for a comedic vibe. This movie scared the shit out of people.
Okay,
the whole thing here, him getting crushed like that, the kind of dark themes that they deal with, and then later in the movie with the cyborg lady, that gave people nightmares.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay, watch this piece of stunt work, the way that it works on the ground.
Right?
It's just. That's a straight up cartoon shot.
It is, and I love it.
He's the coyote. There's this perfect hole that he's in. Just this perfect cylinder hole he's standing down in. It's, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. And he's not even that dirty. There's some dirt on him, but not nearly enough.
And just the kick. Okay, this is one of the few really close-ups we get to his boots right here. I was when he kicked him there and walked around.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that they did a good job. Sorry, randomly, totally just rabbit trail there. But the costume designer, I think this suit gets a lot of both praise and people kind of deride it as being too simple. But it's a good job. The costume designer did a good job on his suit.
Well, Interestingly enough, that's one of the things that's brought up a lot also, is that many people believe that this was Superman's best suit. Pretty much like before, what do you call it? Superman Returns. And even then, some people don't like the kind of
I prefer this one.
3DS
Yeah.
on Superman Returns. But like in terms of high quality, like you could zoom in on any part of the costume and be like, that looks really good. Whereas other movies and shows were either less quality or avoided certain things.
Yeah. Well, and this movie doesn't shy away from showing all of his costume, like even in close-ups multiple times. You can tell sometimes when movies don't want to show certain parts of the costume really well.
Right.
Yeah. I will say this is kind of a dramatic, not a dramatic, it's very quick here when all of a sudden the roles get turned, where it's just like, nope, he jumps out, he chokes him, and then that's it.
And that's and it's like, was this a weird Superman superpower? Because was it all in his head? Was it all in an illusion? But there's still that giant hole. John Williams theme.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, we get the nice bright S again. I always took this, even as a kid, as it was in his head, but he really was trashing a place. Like, you know, as he was going through this mentally. But, okay, I do love this. Like, sorry, this theme, the bright suit, him smiling, flying across the ocean with Metropolis in the background, which is obviously New York City. It just
fixing his pimped out oil strip.
It just makes me feel. It gives me the feels.
No, this is a good little montage here.
Yeah.
But what do you think of the idea of people? This was first quoted by Joss Whedon for Justice League 2017, but also echoed by James Gunn, that John Williams' theme for Superman isn't just the theme for these Superman movies, but it's almost like the James Bond theme now. That it is Superman's theme, and it cannot be escaped. And so gives them license to use it in other things.
I don't know what the answer to license for other things is. I just think that it's... I agree
Cultural license, not legal license.
Yeah, I do think it's a theme that has transcended Christopher Reeves. I think it is the character. It belongs to the character at this point. And it can be overused for sure. I was very mixed on it with the rock version of it they did in that first iteration of James Gunn's Superman, the trailer. But I mean, I remember the first teaser for Superman Returns, and I remember the very slow rendition of it that was played over just like the Kent mailbox, and then they had a little bit of Jor-El voiceover happening, and I just was like, oh my god, I don't think I've been more hyped for anything in like a long time than I was the first time I saw that in a theater. And I was just like, I am there. Let's do this. You know, I was just so into it. So I know
Superman. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I would agree that the theme is that it can be overdone for sure, and I think it'd be a mistake to lean on it and use it too much. But I also do think it has transcended Christopher Reeve's portrayal.
Well, I know that most people don't even realize that it's in Justice League 2017. Danny Elfman uses it during Superman's fight scene with the League. He mixes his own Justice League theme with Hans Zimmer's theme with John Williams' theme. Really strange.
Well, and it's because I think that Hans Zimmer's Superman theme from Man of Steel is genuinely very good. Like
it's amazing.
It's the track, you know, what are you gonna do when you're not saving the world?
When you're not saving the world.
That's such a good track. I've listened to that many times. But
dude, I remember the trailer for the first trailer. I remember being convinced that Man of Steel was going to be the Dark Knight of Superman because of that trailer. And it has those drums.
Oh, it was, yeah. It's It's so good, and the shot as he launches in the Arctic, where it shows like his fist on the ice, and when he launches up, and just that whole, I'm like, oh my, yeah, I was so ready for that movie to be everything that I ever wanted, and then it wasn't, but we can talk about that later. Okay, so we're into the final thing here.
Mm-hmm. And this is a good set. I like this set. It looks like something out of Star Trek almost.
Well, I love that they built this on the Pinewoods. This is on the 007 lot at Pinewood. Like this is on the set where they've done a lot of James Bond stuff.
Right. There's so much overlap with James Bond, man. And this was actually a huge year for James Bond. This was the battle of the different rights bonds. This was, what was it? View to a Kill and Never Say Never Again.
Never Say Never, yeah. The Sean Connery went and made his own Bond.
Octopussy. Yeah. Octopussy and Never Say Never Again.
Yeah, where Sean Connery was like, I'm going to do my own Bond movie just to do it one more time.
It wasn't Sean Connery saying that. It was the production company, and they just gave him a bucket of money.
Yeah, he was a willing participant. Anyways. And it was just a straight-up remake of Thunderball. But,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But this whole sequence, I love that that they show, if you're paying attention, the two like power generator things are literally on like tracks. Because when they move in and trap Superman at the end and the whole thing. Okay, I was reading up on this and I love this. So Atari was contracted for this. I'm not sure they were even contracted. I think that somehow Warner Brothers and Atari were like through multiple layers of business were like actually like owned by the same parent companies. And Atari actually built out this whole like video game-esque sequence. It took them months to compile the whole thing. And they ended up coming up with 60 seconds of footage, which I think about half of which made it into this final film. But the fact that this is 1983 and they got, it was a big deal. And they took them months and like over $100,000 to put this together. This like tiny little bit of the video game screen here they show. It's just...
it looks really dated by today's standards.
Oh, it looked amazing at the time.
But yeah, it looked more than amazing at the time. That was like mid-90s video game looking display done in the early 80s. You know?
Well, I mean, look at how smooth Superman looks on the screen when they go back to it here. The fact that his cape
wiggle.
Yeah, the cape is moving. He's not super pixelated. The background is very pixelated, but Superman himself looks amazing. If they had been able to make a Superman game with Superman looking that good in 1983, it would have been hailed as one of the great graphical achievements of the era.
It looks better than the Superman video game from 1998. You know?
Look at this, like coming straight on, his face looks like, man, yeah, that's great. Yeah. This whole thing, just oh man. But I mean, it's distracting us from the fact this is still a ridiculous sequence.
Yeah. That's the point, though.
It is. This missile. What is this thing? It's just
a very James Bondy.
Oh yeah. Missile ready.
It looks like a submarine.
Yeah. Well, I do like the whole kick thing there. That's a nice little and it's all like happening while he's just coming down the canyon on a donkey. But this missile, it should have had fins on it that were a little bigger than what it actually was. Because how is it like flying?
I don't know. And why does it look like a Cylon?
Yeah, I was to say it looks like a Cylon mixed with if you look at the Eurofighter 2000, it has that style of the intake right below.
Eurofighter. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Was it a Tomcat that had that thing?
No, it was the Eurofighter had the big intake right below the cockpit, and that kind of triangular shaped cockpit mixed with a Cylon eye. You're right, it's totally like a Cylon eye. It's just talking to the donkey like it's a dog.
See, that's funny. That's good comedy that I like out of this thing. Did you know he got nominated for a Razzie Award for Worst Supporting Actor for this movie?
He was not the problem with this movie. This movie had a lot of problems, and not that everything he did in it was great, but I don't like what they did with him. Like, I don't like the stunt casting and the making the movie around him. But he's not the reason this movie's bad. I will argue that to anybody, that the reason this movie is bad is not Richard Pryor's fault.
But he ended up the scapegoat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He was used, but it's just bad writing. This movie is it's bad writing, it's bad direction, it's bad tone. It's bad. Actually, Richard Pryor and Christopher Reeve and Ed O'Toole are the three things that actually are somewhat good in this movie.
So that whole thing, does he just forget that he boned that lady? Like, does he remember? He's just trying to didn't happen.
Yeah, is that gaslighting? No, it never happened.
I mean, he was under the influence of a chemical.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I want to go back and the scanning screens of the computer scanning him. I want to pause on each one and just read what they came up with on those screens for how he how it analyzed him. I'm curious now.
Yeah,
I'm sure those those images exist.
But yeah,
this goes on too long. By the way, this lasts too long. Where he's in the bubble.
Yeah,
this is a very rushed. This is a very rushed sequence because you have the bubble, and then immediately you have a kryptonite beam, and that's it. Superman, I actually find this to be incredibly disappointingly anticlimactic. Superman's solution. I get that he goes back and he gets the acid, but it's so slow and kind of clunky, and they actually defeat Superman. Right here, they would have beat Superman. They had him.
Yeah.
And I don't actually mind somebody else helping Superman. That's not a bad thing. That's been done plenty of times in the comics. But it's so conveniently easy here all of a sudden.
Yeah. This was supposed to be Brainiac, which those of you who might be unfamiliar, Brainiac being one of Superman's deadliest enemies, and in a number of different canons that they have for the character, Brainiac is the one who destroyed Krypton.
Yeah.
And so in one of the original scripts, when they were dealing with Brainiac and Mr. Mxyzptlk, of all people, Brainiac was going to be the bad guy. But in this one, it's they do have this supercomputer, which I think is supposed to be kind of Walmart brand Brainiac.
Yeah.
Kind of like we had Walmart brand Bizarro and Walmart brand Lex Luthor.
I mean, they have, again, Richard Pryor basically saves Superman. And I don't hate...
I'm okay with.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I just...
In theory.
I think Superman should have had a little more agency in this fight. It should have been more of a combination of the two of them. Other than Superman basically doesn't do anything.
I kind of feel like Superman's fight against the World Engine in Man of Steel was the better way of doing this problem,
It's also a really weird weakness right here.
That's a me thing. Right? What was that?
A safety screw? A little slot-headed safety screw? In a very conveniently obvious, don't touch this.
A main power core thing, I guess?
Something.
So strange.
And even here, I don't understand his decision making here, where he just doesn't. I mean, I guess he's recovering from kryptonite, but he doesn't just kind of just come in and just take care of this all really fast. Is he just out there just kind of catching his breath this whole time?
That'd be my assumption.
He swallows it. That thing's gonna hurt coming out.
Right? Hopefully he barfs it up, but even then it's risky.
Yeah.
She reminds me so much of the lady in freaking Superman Returns who dumps the crystals.
Oh,
she has that same vibe.
That actress, I know. Is it?
I hate that actress.
With a P. Her name has a P.
Yeah.
Parker.
She has Posey.
Posey Smith.
Parker
No,
Posey?
I don't like her either. She always plays obnoxious female characters that are just, I don't know, just yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever
I
seen Blade 3?
Machine
Blade
that's in?
Trinity.
Yeah.
Yes,
I know
she
she
was
was.
awful.
I know she was in the Lost in Space remake on Netflix a while back, and it wasn't great in that. And yeah, I wasn't a big fan of her.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she was Smith. Because they gender bent Smith.
So I just I don't know.
Oh, interesting thing that they did here, though. Okay. So they're showing, Metropolis is in danger because of what this machine is doing, right? When they show the whole country being affected, it's going from the west coast to the east in like quote quote real time. So are you telling me that in this continuity, Metropolis is on the west coast?
That is a little. I'm pretty sure there's a continuity error because obviously Metropolis is New York City. I mean, it has the Statue of Liberty, as established many, many times. What is this, by the way, that this computer has? Just some random gravity beam.
Tractor beam. An anti-tractor beam.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, on paper, I like the idea that Superman has an idea to go and basically get a solution. But I also, it's odd to me
Literally.
that solution, yes.
Chemistry joke.
Yeah. But it's interesting is when he explains it, he's like, oh, I came up with something the machine wouldn't recognize as a threat. It's like you told me the machine wouldn't know this very obviously the scientist at the plant knew no, this acid is super dangerous under the right conditions. The computer
But it was an experimental acid that wasn't widely known, and this was before the internet. So how would the machine know about it?
I mean, the machine knew enough to do this. This was scary, though.
Yeah, this is a
You're right.
thing. Yeah.
Well, and then the fact that all this happens,
out.
and then she comes back perfectly normal at the end.
Mm-hmm. And Superman's not even there to fight, Bozo the Clown robot lady?
Yeah. That's weird.
It's literally my only thought process through this is that this is if the Terminator had sex with a clown.
Oh, gosh. And then she's held up by this spiky beach ball thing of energy. It's stuck to her.
Interesting.
She uses her fingers and then her eyes. And it's interesting, though, that they do actually show two small beams coming out of her eyes and converging to one larger beam.
Mm-hmm. That is an interesting effect.
Yeah.
The
callback, though.
I don't mind the whole foreshadowing thing.
No, I don't mind that. Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's Metropolis should have just now lost power.
Yeah.
Although they do finally show,
on their part.
Yeah, they do finally show how fast he can be. Because again, if you take this literally, how quickly he got out to Kansas and then back here.
I mean, he is Superman. He goes real fast.
Well, that's the see the little ball attached to her is weird.
I mean,
never mind.
I'm trying to make a balls joke, but the words aren't coming to me.
Yeah. Well, he's got his reflection. He's got his hand.
Yeah.
That's the exact same special effect that they used when he used the mirror on Zod's heat vision in Superman 2.
Oh, you're right. I kind of feel like that should have budget reasons why. I bet they wanted a fight scene between him and the robot. Android. Cyborg.
I don't know how they would have done that. But here, okay, so he's again, it's so quickly here that Superman is essentially powerless. His physical ability never comes into play in this. Is he being tractor beamed right here? By the hidden in the back? And then he's got to get the lid off, and he just gets sucked back into this machine. He can't do anything. I'm
if
confused.
they had made it at least kryptonite powered, make all the stuff green because they already had the kryptonite beam earlier, right?
Yeah,
they could do something here.
Something, but he should be tearing this thing apart.
I do like that though. I like the effect. I like the practical effect.
Yes.
Of this some sort of nasty, caustic, crazy thing because it sells it. I like that where it like burns through the floor, you know.
What what was heating it up, by the way? Because it had to be heated up past 180 degrees C, which is as hot, by the way. What was heating it up that much? Do you think Superman was doing that with his heat vision?
I did it say that it needed to be heated up that much, or I thought that it was if it was exposed to oxygen, it would heat up really fast.
No. That was the entire the entire thing at the beginning with the fire at the plant was that if this gets past 180 degrees Celsius and they have the big temperature gauge, that's the big plot device of like it's climbing up the temperature. You know, if the fire doesn't get put out, it's going to it turns into smoke that like destroys everything. The scientist explains it, and it's entirely about heat, but there's nothing in this sequence that explains how it would heat up as described earlier in the film. Here, totally unfazed, not a stitch of like any evidence on her skin or her hair or her hands that anything happened to her.
Right? She should be looking like Picard after Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah. Again, I feel like this whole ending was just very rushed. I wonder...
they were running out of budget. You know, they probably wanted bigger things and then had to settle for this. And there's certain things to it that I really liked.
Yeah.
But
there's some
enough.
Ideas.
Like, you can see the pieces.
Yeah. There's some ideas to this ending that are fine, but the execution is very lackluster.
Yeah. Like, I have this weird desire almost to, like, rewrite this movie today and make it better, you know? And like, what was that? Is Superman just like, oh, he's black, I need to go from the handshake to the other thing, you know?
And then immediately, like, we got like a gasoline joke here, like, oh, see, we got fuel again, I'm getting the premium. What is that? Like, why do you need to show that? You can cut out all this garbage.
This scene is particularly legendary because this is not this isn't simulated. Richard Pryor is horrified of heights. And they insisted that they put him on some wires. So he's like 12 feet up as they're doing this. He's terrified.
Yeah. This is the one, though, to me, this is probably the flying sequence that looks almost the worst because it just looks like they're in front of a TV.
Yeah, but it's also fun. I like it.
It's a good character scene. It is genuinely a good character scene, but for some reason, the comp looks worse to me in this scene.
I was actually watching some makings of other videos. There's this one particular guy on YouTube that I've found that I like, Oliver Harper. He's fun. And I was watching his Superman 3 breakdown, and I end up breaking into something else, jumping over to other movies. And there's this one that he did, it's called Life Force, an early Patrick Stewart movie. I mean, he just has a part in it. He's just the most memorable to me. And they actually had some wire work for astronauts in that movie, and one of them was apparently going through his wires, and he noticed that they all had the tag Christopher Reeve on them. And they had reused all of the rigging from this movie, and this one actor got them marked, the ones used for Superman.
That's cool. That actually would be a really cool collector's item to have, like, official rigging that Christopher Reeve used in some of these films.
Yeah.
This part was shot in England down at like a power plant right by the river. I saw this in behind the scenes. This was actually some of the first stuff that they shot for the movie.
Yeah.
I do love the whole making a diamond thing. It's a little, it's a tiny gag, but I think that it's, again, although, again, it shows Superman's like power scale is all over the place because he can just casually make a diamond in his hands, that much pressure. Yet again, he was struggling so much, against the robot. Not the robot, the computer. It's just it's very inconsistent on his power level in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, Superman's power level is always a little bit inconsistent.
I mean, yeah.
Also, how would he know? How would anybody know about Superman tearing open his shirt like that? Like, that is
I had never thought of that. I had never thought of that, but that is totally, yep. He's like, for the wind. Oh gosh.
What a weirdo. What a loon. What a maroon.
And again, here we have one last gag we're going to go through, one last slapstick gag with Brad, because they couldn't just let this movie have a sweet ending. They've got to have one big,
Right.
one big comedic swing again. Freaking Rich. I really do think that is Richard Lester. I think that Richard Lester is the one who just drove that slapsticky feel. And again, someone like, so Richard Donner, talk about Richard Donner for just a second here. He understood comedic stuff. I mean, I know you're not, as attached to these films as I am, but like the Lethal Weapon series, which are just the gold standard of like buddy cop films. I really think that. And they are hilarious.
I've only seen one,
Okay.
and it's the one where there's armor-piercing Uzi rounds
Yes.
that goes through a bulldozer.
And that's the third
all
one.
that I remember from
Yeah.
that movie.
That's the second one. I'm sorry, that's the second one. And those movies are not without faults, and the plots themselves or whatever. But what those movies nail is the character stuff. The reason people love those movies is because Danny Glover and Mel Gibson just had chemistry. And
Yeah, they're too old for that shit.
yeah, they are. But those were all Richard Donner films. And he understood comedy, but not to the detriment of your drama. And this is a movie that does not understand that. And Richard Lester does not understand that. And that's where I think Richard Donner could have and would have. And the first movie did that really well. The first Superman movie is hilarious at times, but it doesn't ever undercut the drama. And this movie's just like this whole thing. You're going to have this like sweet moment with Lana and this, this really good character moment for Clark where she's not disappointed that she doesn't get to see Superman because she still goes to spend the night with Clark. Not spend the night, but like go on a date with Clark. It would have been this really sweet moment. And instead, no, we're going to have a physical comedy gag with Brad. And it pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got way too tan Lois here coming back.
Yeah, to the fake tan, she looks like an alien.
She
looks like she's
scary.
in zombie makeup.
Yeah. Like, you need to go see a dermatologist immediately.
Yeah, you have cancer.
Yeah. That is it's so big. It's like absurdly big.
Yeah.
But there's no like clarification of like, are they engaged now? Was it just a gift? What's going on here?
I mean, what hand was it on?
It's on her right hand.
Is
but
it?
Like, well, she said like I had to sell my diamond ring. Yeah, she's right there. You can see it.
Okay, yeah, it's on her right hand.
On her right hand. So like she's just like wearing it just for like fun, like this $100,000 diamond ring.
Yeah. And then like, what's this? Why does
again? It's stupid.
It's
all stupid. This is all stupid. And we go back to the Pisa Tower.
I don't mind this. I liked this. I thought this was funny.
Well, okay, but see, that's the thing is, this is a funny sequence. Like, if you just take this like as a YouTube short, like this is funny, right? But it doesn't belong in this movie.
Actually, I'm gonna fight that. Okay,
all right, go for it.
If this movie was good, this is what should have been in the movie. Like, you have a Superman movie that's supposed to be slightly more comedic. It's gonna have its funny moments. It has him going around being a pest. Okay. He's blowing out the torch.
Yeah.
He's causing these problems. He fixes Pisa. That's funny, right?
Oh,
That's him being a pest. You have these guys who are upset. And then at the end, he goes back and fixes it, and they've fixed it, and he's having more problems. I think that's funny. Maybe I just have very lowbrow humor.
It definitely could have worked. Okay, I'm always a sucker for this. I gotta say this. I love this ending shot. They've done it in all of them. I love it. I love it. He smiles for the camera. The camera. Sorry, it's just I got to say that I gush over that because as a kid I love that. Superman was smiling at me. It was
weirdo.
He was looking at me and telling me it's all good. And the music's yeah. Well, again, especially
bouncy.
Yeah, especially compared to the first one.
Mm-hmm. So strange. So strange.
Yeah, because they're not even bouncing up and like it's left and right. It's just like you can tell that they just rushed through these. They did not have time to do the right frame pacing. to make it look smooth and
No,
nice.
they gave it to an epileptic.
Okay,
But Brian, I need to ask the question. I need to ask.
I don't want this question.
How would you, can this movie be fixed? How would you fix this movie?
You would have to fire almost everybody behind the scenes. I mean, you would.
So we're putting this one as a terminal case.
No, this one, there is no way. So, we try to do this, right? We try to say, how would you fix this without basically making a different movie? Kind of, right? And I don't think you can.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, you can't. There is no way to take the ingredients that you had and come up with anything substantially better. You can make it a little bit better. But I genuinely do not think without so many changes that it's no longer even the same ingredients that you could have made this movie bounce back into something good.
Okay, so let's rephrase the question. How do you take this from being... I'm not going to call this an F. I would say that the next one, Quest for Peace, that's an F.
Yes. I would call this movie a C-.
This is a D.
Okay.
Okay. How would you raise it to a B?
To a B.
A B minus.
Get on the same page thematically. That's the big... the big thing is just get your tone consistent. Be funny without being slapsticky. Find that balance between letting Richard Pryor... Again, we're assuming you're going to keep everything, right? Like, you're not going to get rid of characters.
You're not changing any of the actors.
Yeah.
You're not changing the general plot.
Yeah, you've got to...
Just tweaking everything.
Yeah, you've got to give Richard Pryor moments like where he's, breaking into the computer place to take control and getting the guy drunk. Having more of that kind of stuff with Richard Pryor. I would have him interact with Superman more, actually. I would have Superman and him meet once or twice, like have him somehow run into Superman at the beginning. The whole opening sequence could be a reintroduction to, if you want to have, again, that I like the idea of a jaded Superman. I would say, have something where he runs into Richard Pryor at the beginning and that Superman catches the bank robber and the cops are like almost annoyed, and somehow you turn that sequence instead into a way to showcase Superman's changing interaction and relationship with the people around him, especially with stopping crime and a reaction there. And then you turn that into kind of why he's getting nostalgic, why he's thinking back about Smallville, why he's not looking forward, where he's looking backwards, like many people do. They start thinking about back when my life used to be simpler and better, and you use that as the launching pad for him going back and wanting to, and then have a scene where he's talking with Perry White about why he's motivated to go back and explore, his high school reunion and how it's gonna. How he feels about it and why he thinks it's important. And when he goes back and you have all that, I actually think most of the stuff in Smallville I would keep. I would keep Brad in there as a little bit of comedic relief, but way dialed back. Brad would have a quarter of the scenes he has in this movie. He would just be a little bit to let you know, like, here's the sad quarterback who never got out of high school. And he's kind of a pest to Lana. And he's annoyed that Clark is actually successful and comes back, and that Clark is actually this, successful guy who comes back and is bigger than him and strong. Like, I would actually make it a point where Brad kind of notices that Clark is taller and larger than he is. I would keep Lana pretty much the same. I liked Lana a lot. I liked Marie O'Toole's performance. I would then
Annette O'Toole.
Annette O'Toole. I'm sorry. Where'd Marie come from?
I don't know.
That was weird. Anyways, and then, but at the same time, I think with the villain, I don't know what you could do to really save the villain. I think just having a greedy corporate guy who is kind of trying to pull Richard Pryor's strings, I would kind of keep him in the background and have this movie be much more about Superman and Richard Pryor as the touchstone for kind of the antagonist, but in a way where this is much more about Superman, and actually have Superman and the way that he interacts with Richard Pryor's character and the way that he interacts with Lana's character kind of being part of what brings him back around. I would still keep the kryptonite thing But I would get rid of the whole satellite thing. Just goes away. Get rid of all that, and just have it be some kind of a recreation based on some tiny sliver that was left over from the one that Lex stole, or something that, find some way to just, it's on Earth. It's an easy thing to just write in some hand wavy, you found something and, it wasn't enough or it had been altered because of something and make it red. I mean, you go for comic stuff, make it red kryptonite. But keep it a little bit more consistent, keep it around for people who are watching the movie and don't know it, and let him go through, but let him being a pest accelerate, have a little more of an even curve where he's kind of just annoyed and where it is he's acting in a way that you can kind of, the movie's been hinting that he kind of wanted to act, where he kind of wanted to just say, screw these people, they're on their own. If they don't want me around, if they don't appreciate me, then fine, they don't have to have me. And I'm just going to kind of be a bored, superpowered, man-child for a little while. And have that accelerate to a critical point where he does, he is confronted. And then I would, ending-wise, I don't know. I don't know how I would. I think you're better at this kind of stuff than I am, but find a way to have the fight at the end where Richard Pryor's character gets to be a part of the solution, but Superman puts up more of a physical fight. Somehow have the and again, I'm trying to think of how you do this in 1983 special effects, but have a little more of a physical confrontation. Have it be more of a give and take between Superman and the computer, and then have the acid. I like the idea of him going and finding a solution, like maybe him escaping and realizing, like, okay, I need something beyond my physical strength to solve this. I like doing that, but making it transition better. I would have, I think, gotten rid of the whole making a cyborg. I get that that's very comic booky, but If you can't have them fight, if you can't have the Cyborg and Superman fight, then I think it's kind of wasted. Like put that effects budget towards Superman versus the environment, or some of the kind of weapon that you can have threaten him in a way that's plausible, that you can do. Again, I'm trying to think of within the confines of 83 special effects. I don't know. I mean, what do you think, or what do you think of my thoughts?
I think your thoughts are very thoughtful, and I think you're on the right track as well. I believe something similar. I think that I would cut out a lot of the kind of, it's very world hopping, or like globe trotting, I should say. I think that this movie would actually have done better if things were kind of outside of Metropolis almost entirely. I think that you could have taken elements from the beginning, the middle, and the end, and all kind of joined them together where they were otherwise disjointed. Like, you have that plant that's on fire, right? And Superman saves the plant. You could have made that so that that plant was actually a subsidiary that's related to the bad guy, Webster, whatever his name was.
Webster.
You
like
could
the dictionary.
Webster. Yeah, Webster. And you could also have that you don't need what's-his-face to be unemployed, right? You could have him getting a job. Have him have the job at that plant, okay? And it's through that fire that Superman ends up interacting with Webster. It's through that fire Webster figures out that this guy is actually a really smart computer genius. And you're able to kind of have all that tied together there. And so Clark's in Smallville. He's dealing with these things. Webster has these deals in Smallville because he has some other thing that's going on, right? Like, that's where the computer core is, and now you have Richard Pryor who's working on the computer. And it's through the computer that he's able to manipulate things that's causing this chaos. And Superman is reacting to this chaos around the world. And it's causing him emotional distress because people resent him. And then he realizes that, these people and their machine, their computer skills, this guy who he interacts with somehow in Smallville, is the reason that this is happening, and they realize that, oh, Superman's getting in the way, we need to get rid of Superman, and they know he's coming to Smallville for some reason, and they kryptonite him, and it ends up him kind of turning bad, and they're kind of free to do their own thing, and they're building this machine somewhere else that's going to be able to give them the ability to do that times 10, you know? But then the machine goes a little haywire. You can bring in your cyborg. Instead of having these little, like, you know, magic ball that does things, have it all just be the cyborg. And you could do some various things with the writing there that could make it a little bit more interesting, like establish some sort of not trust issue with the issue, like a drama almost between the brother and sister that ends up with her like trying to take out the brother, and that leads to the creation of her as the cyborg, and that all gets started like before Superman's even around, and then he can, you know, do stuff. And then you can have like a straight fight between Superman and this kryptonite-powered cyborg, almost like Metallo.
Yeah.
That's just, again, spitballing. But like, I think that there is a core to this that could be done if they had just had a little bit more restraint, you know? And of course, the very different time period, of course, and I'm just like, looking back on it isn't fair to the people who made it necessarily.
Well, I think
but I'm just saying.
I think that I don't have anything against probably 99% of people involved in this film. I think that the people who are doing the effects work the best they could, the people who you know, the people running the crews, Christopher Reeve, I mean, you know, your working class people. I think this is almost like the weird version of like corporate interference or like studio interference, where you have the producing and writing partners that just Superman was content for them. Superman was a business opportunity for them. Superman was not, and I've heard this repeatedly in interviews by many people and many sources that talk about the fact that they wanted to be big Hollywood film moguls. And Superman was the property to let them do it. Superman was never a passion project for the money people. He was an opportunity to become, you know, one of the big Hollywood elites at the time, and that's what they cared about. Superman was the means to the end. And I hate that, because it's just that a version of that story, whether it's just a business opportunity or an opportunity for personal advancement, almost never, like when you get something great out of that situation, it's almost always by accident. And again, the first Superman movie was like that because they happened upon, they hired Richard Donner, who they accidentally hired an actual creative guy who had a vision and had a passion for the material itself. And so they ended up with something that was special. But so often those guys will just find themselves a what do you call it? Just like a trigger man or a shooter, right? Is that kind of the Hollywood version of it, just a shooter?
Mm.
And you end up with bland, by committee crap.
Yeah,
And
I agree. And it's really
it happens over and over and over again, right? I mean, we could sit here for hours and talk about examples of that, right?
And it's fitting that this is actually a Warner Brothers movie, because I personally believe that Warner Brothers is, a lot of people will sit there and point at Disney right now for their handling of Marvel and Star Wars. No, it is Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers has always been horrible at managing and handling their IPs. Yeah. And it's insane. It drives me crazy. As
somebody who hates a lot of what Disney's doing right now, Warner Brothers, over the course of time, is 1,000% worse. Their track record is atrocious. I will absolutely agree with you on that.
Oh my gosh, dude, I could list things for ages. But I was going to end with something you said, but I don't remember what it is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I'm going to go ahead and just say, no, this is my own brain. Oh, it's so funny, though, because we were talking about those freaking producers, right? And all the crap and problems that they caused. Oh my gosh, what were their names? The producers.
Salazars or that the
Salkinds. The Salkinds. Alexander and Ilya Salkind. You said brothers earlier. They're actually a married couple.
Oh, sorry.
You're talking about how they wanted to use that as a jumping off platform for their own crap, right? And the thing is, after this and the failure of Superman 4: Quest for Peace, they went on to create the Superboy TV show. They owned the IP for Superboy after Superman had defaulted back to Warner Brothers. And that actually ended up being, especially in its later 2 seasons, lasted 4 seasons, a great passion project for hardcore Superman fans. It used a lot of things from the comics. It got a little bit like almost X-Files-y in the way that it handled things, but you could tell that there were people who genuinely loved the character of Superman, including the main actor that they had for Clark Kent. And it's just like weird things came out of their obsession with Superman, but this movie and the next one are the worst parts.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have almost anything to do with the next one, right? Did they have much to do with Quest for Peace?
Not a ton.
Yeah.
A lot of that was, unfortunately, Christopher Reeve and Warner Brothers. Christopher Reeve was using it as his own kind of platform.
Yeah.
And if he had more money, I bet he would have been able to create something pretty good.
Yeah. Well, we just tease that, I guess. I mean, we are going to jump right into that one. So next week we'll be back with Quest for Peace. Unfortunately, it means I'm going to have to watch the movie twice the next week.
I'm not even going to watch it. I'm just going to experience the badness in real time.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. But that's a shame because that's another movie where the theme of it, gosh, Superman and his relationship with nuclear weapons is actually something I find very compelling and interesting. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of comic precedent for some interesting stories there, I know. And Christopher Reeve's passion for that, I actually admire quite a bit. But gosh, is it a bad movie? And it's a shame. It's really a shame that that's how it ended.
You don't like Atomic Man?
Nuclear Man.
Nuclear Man.
He's Nuclear Man. With those fingernails. But we will be back next week with that one. Look forward to more Superman ranting and raving about a amazing casting and a beloved character that is not handled well on the big screen. So, anyway, that's all I got for tonight.
Good night, everybody. Have a super time.
Night, everybody.
There's doors and corners, kid. If you don't clear the room, if you don't come in slow,